Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of The Gray Area on the BMD Network. I'm Mr. Bennett, joined as always by my partner, as always, Grooming and Reviews, aka the HQ, representing the AQ Sparta Network, aka not playing, dude.
Yeah, it's playing.
Something's wrong on my end. Then I hear your voice, but I didn't hear you. This is Sparta, but nevertheless, he is the ghost of Sparta, aka Peter, aka Panagiotis. Yasso, my brother, what's going on?
Trying to get better.
So I hear you, man.
Yeah.
I hear you. You know, we all go through it. It's it's not how you get down; it's how you get up, and you just try again. You just keep pressing.
I hate being sick, bro. I hate being fucking sick.
You said you hadn't been sick for like 3 years or something like that, 2 or 3 years.
2 years.
2 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's hitting me hard. I'm not gonna lie to you about that. It's hitting me hard.
But you see here the dedication, ladies and gentlemen. You see that the show must go on no matter what. So again, the real G's, they play hurt. So as you can see, scrolling at the bottom of our of the screen, you see our Cash App. So again, we ask that you support either certainly my channel, my Cash App, or the Sparta HQ Network, but also consider dropping a Cash App to the BMU Network as well. Make sure that we post that as well. That you support the BMU Network. That gives you 7 days of content on all different types of topics or whatnot. So we got a barbershop. We got where they just flip over tables on anything, especially in this hot political season. We got the sports one-on-one sports show on. We got the ancient one. We have our man Arpane on Monday night. So we got a little something for everybody, and we like to always, depending on your point of view, we either like to end the week or we like to start the week with a little gray area discussion, where we have two people coming from very different backgrounds and whatnot, but trying to find the gray area, the commonality between people. And so we like to kind of set the tone for the week. And so it's good that you've joined us this evening again on this Sunday night where my Steelers are about to play. So they had like a 90-minute rain delay. So the Steelers
I saw that.
The Steelers and Cowboys, they're about to get underway in Pittsburgh. And so definitely looking forward to, the game. Hey, 183307. Again, thank you for your support. Lost in translation. Absolutely. Let's go as always. And certainly we appreciate you guys stopping on in tonight, for, again, another interesting discussion. And we're just looking forward to what we're going to be doing in the future. I mean, we got some shows lined up where we're going to be bringing on some personalities. I think some of our highest rated shows have been where we've interviewed people. So, we definitely want to bring in more guests. And again, have even further dialogue and discussion and getting perspectives. We got military guys and people from all walks of life that we want to have part of this discussion. And so we're looking to bring those people into the space as well. And like I said, just to have that the breaking bread. And again, finding that commonality. So I'm excited. I'm also excited about my New York Yankees against the Yankees and Mets. They won their openers, so hopefully we might be looking at a Subway Series, Yanks Mets World Series. That'd be very exciting as well for at least for my area anyway. I don't know if you're from Texas or if you're from Kansas City or other parts of the country or whatnot. It may not be necessarily excited for you, but definitely looking forward to seeing with these with my local sports team in the tri-state area what they do. Also Phillies in the mix also, so I would take a New York Philly World Series as well. I'll take that. And so again, just lots of exciting things going on in the sports world that we'll chop up again on our one-on-one sports show. There was a lot of crazy college upsets this past Sunday. So again, the whole rankings and everything is going to be turned upside down. So we're going to be getting into that. Also on the one-on-one sports show, please be sure to join us again on Wednesday. We started a discussion towards the end of the show that we're going to actually continue, and it is on the legacy of Oakland, California sports. As many of you know, the last game for the Oakland A's was played last week, and so this is going to be for the first time in 60 years. Oakland's not going to have a sports franchise. So we brought in Tommy B, who lives in Oakland, to talk about that history and the impacts on the local economy. So we're going to continue that discussion next Wednesday, again, on the one-on-one sports show. We're going to lead our show with that and continue that dialogue, as well as talk about all the news stories that are going on in the world of sports. And so definitely looking forward to that. So again, just a lot of good and positive things that are happening in this space, happening in this network. Go back on Friday. to the barbershop show. We got into it, talking about, is a sensitive man makes you, I won't use the language, but does makes you a female dog. I'll just say that. But again, we broke bread, and it got deep late into the show and whatnot. But we were talking about some real, real things with the men. So again, our pain, Boss Man was there. Loss as always. So again, go back and listen to that, at least that last hour. I'll be biased, okay? The last hour, 90 minutes of the show. Go back and watch that. And so yeah. So we're trying to use this space for all we can. And so, so again, credit to BMU for giving us this opportunity, for giving us this platform. So again, as you come in tonight, make sure you hit the like button as you come in, not only here, but also go to the Sparta HQ network and like that channel as well. Helps both of us, so we can go to these spaces and continue to have the conversations. And again, Sparta, I mean, you change the game, brother. I mean, you switch some things up. You're starting to, change the whole format of your show, your network, and your channel. And you're trying to get deep in these conversations also. So I'm involved like 2 or 3 deep conversations a week now. It's like I'm coming up for air. So a lot of times your hangout show on Saturday night, that's a lot of times where I kind of get to unwind a little bit. But it's like, man, you taking this into the deep water with some of these discussions on, mental health and all these things that you're doing, man. So
listen, dude, I'll be honest with you, like,
well.
BMU does it his way, and I got my way. There's nothing wrong with that. So we have 2 different channels doing 2 different ways in their own different ways. So we can tackle in different angles too.
Right.
So he tackled about one thing like a couple of weeks ago. I did body count. He did it later on also. So me and him are like, without us talking to each other, we kind of did the same things without realizing it.
Maybe do some maybe a little coordination, or just so we know that we don't want to butt heads as well, but make sure we can again continue to add value in the unique ways that we do it, because obviously you're just a unique individual, just as BMU is. And so I think there's space for all of us in the spaces to really contribute in very substantive ways. So, definitely looking forward to, again, what the Sparta HQ network is going to be kicking out. And you already know what's going on with the BMU network as well. Shout out to, again, Boss Man. Shout out to you for being with us tonight. Appreciate that. You coming out tonight. So, definitely looking forward to a good show. But before we get there, just a culinary question for you, since I know you're the chef, the master chef. No, we talked about the master chief, and now I'm going to talk to the master chef. So again, I was stirring it up in the kitchen tonight. So for the first time in a long time, I cut up some onions. So, and I got some people may call it lazy, and some people or some people not. But what's your opinion on onion powder, onion salt, onion bits, or fresh onions? And in particular for Greek cooking, how prominent are onions in Greek cooking versus like U.S. cooking or whatever? It says you cook all types of foods, but how prevalent are onions? Or are they a staple in Greek food, or are they, so how would you classify onions? And then again, if you had to choose between any of those additives, what would be your preference?
It really depends what I'm making. I can't keep it straight answer, because if I'm making like a bolognese sauce, a real onion and regard is going in there automatically. But if I'm making something more like a soft sauce, let's say it just needs a little flavor, but I don't want the crunch of the onion, I'll put that in. It really depends what you're making. I can't give you a straight answer on that, because it goes either way on that. So it's really a preference thing. And what are you making? That's the 2 factors. What are you making? What's your preference?
I hear you. Like I said, I for a long time I'd be in there and I'd be, my eyes be tearing up. Actually, I got a fan at one point. I was like blowing the fan on the cutting board as I'm cutting the onions, so that the aroma wouldn't get into my eyes. So I'm not one of those, some guys, I'm sure, you've been in the cooking industry for a while, so I'm sure you probably built like a tolerance where you're cutting up onions and whatnot. It's like
you never build a tolerance on onions. Onions are every cook's worst enemy. So here's the thing: you cannot complain about onions. How many did you cut?
It's one big one. It was like the size of an apple. It was huge. But I'm
try to cut about 100, 200 of those in a row. And talk to me. Then
that's what I'm saying. But do you develop like some kind of resistance or some sort of immunity? Like, it's like a bee sting, right? Or like for those who've been in the military, They say if you've been used to like mustard gas or tear gas or something like that, do you get used to it after a while, or being able to function in those conditions, or do you, or is it something that you never get used to,
You never
even
get
in
it
combat?
is what it is. You might find little tricks like chewing gum, it helps a little bit. Um, one trick I found that this is funny as hell, but it is unorthodox.
Hmm.
Uh, do it in the freezer or in the walk-in
Right,
because the cold air prevents it getting in your eyes.
right,
That's one way to stop it, but you don't
right,
have a big freezer to go in there.
right, right,
Okay?
right. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. But I was like, man, I was like, do I even want to? Do I do I even want to? Do I even want to do it? Like I said, it's probably needs. Like I said, I got lazy, so I got used to using like reconstituted onion bits, or sometimes what I'll do is I'll just get like you can buy like the frozen diced onions, and that's pretty easy. I could just open that up and just let them thaw out a little bit and just throw them in there. But the process of cutting, um, and just being in there, you're cutting the meat up, you're cutting the onions, you're cutting the vegetables, just that. To me, I like I said, I enjoy cooking. A lot of times, what I don't enjoy is the prep. That's the piece where if I could substitute the prep, then I'd be a lot better off. But I'm just wondering, does the food overall, does it still come out better when you use, again, the fresh ingredients, when you put that labor in there? From your experience, does the food just taste better, or do you know when somebody sort of took a shortcut and said, hey, this guy used onion bits, or he used frozen, he used a canned or whatever.
Oh,
That's
you
for
can
me.
tell the
Yeah.
difference. You can tell the difference when you're using frozen stuff versus fresh stuff. You can tell the process. 100%, you can taste the process out of it. So if you do a scrub, some things you cannot do from scratch. Simple as that. Like you don't have time or the energy or the patience for it. Like pancake batter. I will make pancake batter from scratch at home, but at work, yeah, you
Hmm.
can hairy, shiny Greek ass. I'm not happening. Making up like over a couple hundred of that. Yeah, okay, that's not
Hmm.
happening.
Right.
So I would prefer to do that like from the powder. Dump it, water, shake it,
Hey,
cold.
Ananias, good evening. Good to have you tonight.
So that's it. Anything else? I would just do my normal stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Jersey Watcher, Sparta, you're man. He's coming in with some fire. But maybe that's a term. Is that like a term of endearment? So I'm from New Jersey too. I promise you it wasn't me, but I guess he's from Jersey, so he's I guess he's represented tonight.
Yeah, he's
But
probably a Greek because he spelled Malaka correctly. I have not seen him before, so welcome. Make sure you like and share, subscribe, dude. Seriously.
absolutely, absolutely, either to the BMU or to the Sparta HQ network. But on tonight's show. And again, it's a food tastes best when the right kind of prep. Yeah, I just get into my moods. Arpain, I know Arpain. He's a big cook as well. He likes to do Saturday or Sunday dinners with his family and whatnot. And like I said, I like the cooking itself. I like the mixing and all that. But the cutting and the dicing and the marinating and just all that stuff in between. A lot of times it's like, man, if I could just get past that, then I'd be better off. But it's not my favorite thing to do. And but fortunately, I haven't cut myself. I use proper technique. I use I keep the knuckles, that fingers cocked, and so I keep like this. So I protect my fingers. I do all that kind of stuff. Yes, it's definitely the love. You absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Objectivist. It is the love that goes into the food. And again, but you know, if I it said if I can put enough love in without sacrificing, without while saving me some time, then I'll do that. I've made like I bake a lot, so again, I'll do homemade pie crusts. I've done those before, and I'm just like, man, this is just work, man. So I'll put the love into the pie filling, but I may wince out and get the ready made pie crust already. I admit that, but yeah, but yes, there's definitely the love that you put into it is definitely the ingredient that you can't write down. And I've known people, people swore to me, it's like, I've followed your recipe to a T, but it just doesn't taste like yours, and like why? And but yeah, a lot of that love is missing, and so So I put a little extra love into the food tonight. So hopefully my family will appreciate it, because I do Sunday dinner, and usually I do stir fry. So again, I did a lot of things. I may even put a video up later on of my work, and yeah, but I love I love to eat. So my thing is, and again, I've been cooking since I might have been like 6 years old. My mom, one thing I give my mom credit for, she kept me in the kitchen, and so I knew how to fry. I was frying chicken probably at 8 or 10 years old. I knew how to bake very early on. So she just had me in there. So I never was gonna, not, have a good meal. And so I like to share that as well. So yeah, man, it's, so I haven't gotten the feedback yet because I was racing to get, certainly onto the show. But I just want to get your opinion on, again, on onions and the use. But yeah, yeah, you should be, I think you should be good. But in any event, but yeah, so tonight we're talking about TV. So again, like usually, grooming, he's the one who kind of takes these topics on. Now I know there's some very interesting things about Greek TV, and from what I understand, TV in Europe in general, that's very different from American television, and that we want to talk about tonight. All right, so right now it's like you're muted right now. So I'll just so again, so that's going to be a topic tonight. So I'll let when Pete, when he gets his audio working good, we'll talk about comparison between America and you also have to be we have to be, I guess, more general when we say television, because it seems like more and more people are getting away from standard television, broadcast television that dominated the landscape for 70 years. Now we're kind of in this streaming space, and we're looking at all the streaming platforms now. So again, how people consume, still can't hear you, Pete. But how people are consuming their content is different now. People's TV habits. So again, when I was a kid, you kind of grew up watching, waiting for the show to come on air. Right. So again, and back then you had one television, and it could be a 13-inch television. If you were really, in my case, there you go. Up, it came in for a second, and then it went out.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, good.
All right. So again, so back in the day, you had sort of, that one TV in the house, and everybody kind of sat down and everybody kind of watched the same program. So you had, so again, I grew up in an area where there was a lot of family programming, and so again, getting around with the family, was a bonding time for people to watch TV. But again, as people got more affluent, you got multiple TVs in the house. So again, so it's like if the guys wanted to watch the game, and the kids wanted to watch cartoons, and the woman wanted to watch the soap operas and whatnot. So again, I think the habits of television consumption changed as it became more mainstream, and as TVs became more affordable. TVs obviously got bigger and better over time with the resolution and the quality and whatnot. It's hard to believe that there was a time when TV in the 50s, most people had a black and white TV. It was just it's hard to conceive now that, but when you got that, when you got the rabbit ears and you got the foil around them, absolutely. I lived through that. So and
I
again,
actually lived too.
For the longest time, I lived in Central Jersey. So depending on where you were, sometimes you could pick up some of the Philly stations, and sometimes you could pick up the New York stations as well. So again, we our choices in television, not only in terms of the TVs that we have, now we got, Grooming, you got that big 80-inch TV in your house right now.
85.
So
85. You're right.
85-inch TV. So
X is right here. It's
okay,
next
so
to
you
my,
muted again.
office.
You muted again for some reason.
How the fuck?
so I'll just keep it going until you got to work it out. But again, so you have ultimate selection when it comes to the size of the set. They're bigger, they're smaller.
Can you hear me now?
They are okay. So now Bossman is saying that he can hear, but now I can't hear Grooming. So maybe that's maybe on my end. Let me see what's going on with
What's
me
going on with this shit
and
today?
check my audio sources. Give me a
This is starting
second.
to piss me off. This is really starting to know me. Got it. Now you're lost now. Nope. You're dead. You're dead. You're dead. No sound. No sound. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have technical issues today. We're gonna blame King Smith from the other channels because he's my bad luck charm. So yeah, we're gonna use him. So let me know who can hear me, who can hear Paul, because I have no idea who can hear what. So Paul, you keep talking. I can't hear you. No. Yeah, I can't hear shit. Yeah, good. So guys, do me a favor in the chat. Let me know who can hear, who can't hear, because I have no idea right now. Because I can hear Spartan. Okay, good. We hear somebody at least. Right. Can you hear my sound effects at least? Can anybody hear that? I just want to know if you hear my sound effects. So I'm not going crazy. So it's on Paul's side the whole time. Because this is driving me up a goddamn wall right now. So okay, everybody can hear me. So it wasn't me. It's the whole time. I thought it was me actually. So it wasn't me. All right. So Greek TV, American TV. Okay. So the difference about that stuff is a lot of things. I remember going to Greece and coming, I left here and I had a Cablevision, a 45-inch TV. Back then, that was a lot. Let's be honest here. And you didn't have that back in the day. So when I moved to Greece, I had this black and white TV. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? And I had to turn the knobs, literally like that. All right. Can you, Mr. President, can you talk?
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Can you hear this?
No, I can't.
Huh. So something's going on. We gotta fix it after the show because I'm driving me crazy right now.
Okay, all right.
Because
But again,
can anybody hear my sound effects? That's what I'm curious about.
Yeah. But if you guys can hear us, both of us speaking, if you guys just drop a one in the chat, or boss man, if you can hear both of us in the background, let us know.
Yeah. So I was also saying, so back in the day, when I went to Greece, I had to do the knob thing. Then it was like I had to go up to the roof, like at 8 years old or whatever I was, and move the antenna like left and right. My grand, a little to the left, little to the left, little to the right. In Greek, obviously. Dexia, malaka, dexia. Like you get the idea. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and that's how it was. I remember some of the stuff we would watch. It was so inappropriate for kids, but we still watched it. We didn't give a shit at the time.
Let's talk about this. So just off the top now, again with America, we've always had the you have the FCC, in terms of censorship and whatnot. There's certain things you can say. There's certain words that you can't say. They said there's 7 words that you can't say on American television. I know some that got relaxed over the years, in terms of nudity, in terms of content. But we're talking about Greek TV. We're not talking about pay TV. We're not talking about cable. Back in the day, you had Playboy Channel and all those channels, or HBO, especially after dark. They would have like all the adult content. And you tried to cheat and get the code from the remote control to put the code in so you can get the
we didn't have that in Greece.
Get the channels and all that.
So Greece didn't have that. Keep that in mind.
Yes, but in Greece, it is very open when it comes to things like nudity. Now, what about language? Is there a language limitation, or were they
In other words, we're talking about Greece. There is no what is that company called? It came out without the rating shit. We don't have that.
There's no rating, so you can basically say whatever the Greek equivalent of an F-bomb, or like I said, the seven words you can't say in the U.S. you can say on Greek TV, or the equivalent of it.
So for example, the only kind of rating we had back then, it was mama, que papás, grandpa, mom or dad badofla means her sandals gonna be slapping you over the goddamn fucking head if you figure you're watching porno. And there was a porno channel, you just turn the channel, like I think it was 58, I believe. It was on that a lot actually, but that's the point. The point is I was watching stuff I'm not even supposed to watch back then.
So there was actually, hang on. So there was actually like, well, I'll say, I don't know. Can we say that word? I usually say corn in that instance. Just
I was
so
actually curious. Can
so
you tell us we're allowed to use that? I don't want to get us strike.
Yeah, so I just wanted to be sure, but there was actual corn that you can actually just turn a channel, turn the knob, and get it, and there was no restriction on it.
No restriction.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, very different. Now it's interesting because we're always having conversations in this country when it comes to censorship. So again, we know America has typically been up until maybe 50 years ago a pretty conservative country. They say, even though it's not, they say this is a mostly Christian country and conservative values and whatnot. And there's always been campaigns to remove what they used to call smut on television. That people complained when you had soap operas out that was going to ruin American society, and then people complained about the violence on television and in the movies. So again, so you've always had an eye towards censorship. Well, when it came to certain things, and then I know when reality TV came out, I mean, people were like, "This is gonna." So, I mean, we've been hearing for the past 50 years that basically American television is going to corrupt the minds of children and young people and whatnot. But you're saying in Greece that there's no FCC, there's no restrictions on language, there's no restriction. Now, when you say corn, is it like hardcore or is it like softcore? I mean, are they showing entry or is it just assumed
soft? I would say soft.
It's soft, so it's not okay. So it's not the.
So I do want to hit a comment that Jersey Watcher. Am I saying that right? I apologize if I'm not saying that wrong.
Yeah, Jersey
says so there is no N word equal in the Greek language, and he's actually 100% right. We don't have any racist languages in Greece, like the N word, for example, or the C word or anything like that does not exist in the Greek language. So that is completely American words. So for example, and I do apologize whoever I offend right now. I'm going to bring that out. Like warning right now. Like, so heads up. So for me to call Paul a black person or a black man is not offensive. That is what he is. So that's why we don't have racist words. So when I heard the N word the first time, and I literally went home and asked my mom, like, what is the N word? She goes, don't you ever say that again. I'm like, but I heard that at school. Why am I getting in trouble here? Or the F word, or I'm like, like the FA, you get the idea. So that is different. That is more an American thing.
Right. Now you say that there's not but are there, let's say, maybe not ethnic racial slurs, but what about like ethnic ones? Like, for example, is there an ethnic slur for a foreigner, for a non-Greek person, that's meant to be offensive against a non-Greek person?
The worst I have heard, the worst comment I've ever heard as myself, to me personally, as a a Greek American who was born in Greece, born to America, and born back, a pinball, like I call myself a pinball back and forth. They called me American. That is Americanos. Okay, Americanos aquí, the American. That's what they used to call me. That's the word it wasn't offensive, but it was scary to say that out loud because back then they thought every American had money, and that's not a fact. We know that now.
Right. But as far as if you are, like I said, because I know, like we know, like Giannis Antetokounmpo, he grew up a good portion of his life in Greece. So again, if you're not of Greek origin, but you might be like an immigrant to Greece, but to your knowledge, there's not an end all be all derogatory term that they may use to refer to that person generally.
A specific term, like a racist term you talking about, or a like a
or
just
like
a negative
race or
term?
ethnic or whatever. Like I know like Greece and Turkey. I know there's been some
The
conflicts in the
worst thing
past
you
with
can
that.
call okay, so a Turk for us, like this is what's racist. Get ready, get ready, prepare yourself. Don't fall off your seat, Paul. I'm gonna use a racist term.
Okay.
All right, ready? Turk. That's it.
So so it's simply call referring to someone as that
Yeah,
is
Turk.
is yeah,
Like an
interesting.
African, for example, is an African.
Hmm.
That's not really racist, is it? In my opinion,
No,
if
I
you're
don't
from
think I don't
African,
look at it so. I don't
I
look at
don't
it
think
as
so
such.
either. Yeah,
Right.
if you're looking like a Spanish person, call them a Spanish person. That's not think that's what they are. How is that racist? That person I don't see that me. If I see a Jamaican person, you call them a Jamaican. Yeah, that's how I see it.
Mm,
You see it as you say it. It's pretty much so that's not racist. That's
gotcha.
the most racist thing he would say. Sorry, guys. I'm in ECPR in a minute. Not from you. Do not ever bring me back to life. Fuck that.
What do you
Like,
mean? But not for me. If I wait a minute, if I saw you in distress, you wouldn't want me to administer CPR to you?
can we go to the next question, please? Let's get to the next question here.
Okay, next question.
But
But let's get
seriously,
hey,
oh, joking aside, seriously, like Greeks that I know of, and it's Jersey Watcher. It looks like sounds like he's Greek and he's from Greece from the way he's spelling stuff. I don't think he's trolling. I think he's actually Greek.
hey,
So from
again, pleasure to have you on.
yeah, again,
But I think
again,
you asked a question earlier. So again, so we're not going to have a link tonight. So again, the way this show typically works is about once a month we have a call-in show, and people are able to call in if they just want to say hi to us, if they want to engage maybe on a topic that we might have talked about in a previous show. We typically do that. But typically our shows, we have a topic, we go through the topic, and then we end. We also try to keep the show, we try to keep it manageable to about 2 hours. If we start opening up the panels or
right.
whatnot, then it kind of drags out a little bit. So you're more than welcome to come back on when we usually announce ahead of time when we're going to have the call in, but typically, like I said, once a month. We just had one a couple weeks ago, so probably in a couple weeks we'll have another one. So certainly be sure to check us out then, and you're more than welcome to certainly to come up. The only thing we ask is when you call them up, we ask you to cam up and just make sure that you're good before you do that. But yes, we do. We'd like to certainly engage with those who come that. But says Sparta doesn't want CPS, but the woman here can save his life. But she may not be available. Look, I'm sure a lot of men. I'm sure you would all like that. But hey, I would have no qualms. I've had CPR training. In fact, I need to go back. It's been a minute since I've gotten certified, especially with the pandemic and everything. It's been a minute since I got my recertification, so I need to get certified. I used to go every year and get certified in CPR. I had my card with me and whatnot, so I knew how to use that. I used the machine, the electric machine, to bring people back. So so I need to get back on that and just stay current with that. So
yeah, I
again,
used to be certified all the time back in the day. I just fell off my certifications right actually after COVID ended, and if it ever ended, if you want to technical, that's where I stopped getting my certification because I didn't work for hospitals as much or for nurses, but cooks are not certified to need to have their stuff, certified for there. So that's why I stopped getting it done. But no offense, but I like you a lot, but not that much.
He's with a star.
Can I at least pick somebody from the chats at least for CPR?
Oh, I'm sure all the ladies in the chat, you wouldn't turn any lady down. I'm sure. But I cannot I cannot live with myself. If here I'm with my man, we're God forbids, we're at Comic-Con, we're hanging out or whatever. CQ meets his lifelong person or whatever. He's oh my God, he falls out. He passes out. I gotta go into action on my man. I can't let you die. I can't let my ride or die. So yes, this is a bromance moment, but I would administer CPR, no Diddy, on my man Sparta HQ to save your life. Yes, I would. I could not live with myself knowing that I had the ability. It'd be like Spider-Man, right? I could have stopped the robber from killing Uncle Ben, and I didn't do it. I could not live with the guilt of letting you die. So yes, I would give you I would give you that mouth to mouth if it meant saving your life, you know. But I would try to bring you back with those chest compressions. Yes, I would definitely pump your chest. I may break a couple ribs in doing so, but I would definitely start with those. But if I had to go to it, man, hey, all bets are off, and that'd be for anybody. I you know that's you know,
Do me a favor.
so much is
afterwards.
given, much is required. So
Can you do me a favor afterwards? Just buy
What's
me
that?
dinner afterwards, at least. If you're gonna go on mathematics, you gotta buy me dinner at least.
why am I buying you dinner? I save your life. Why am I buying you dinner? You should buy me dinner.
Your lips went on these sacred lips. See? And then you gotta touch the beard too. That's even worse for you.
Gosh. So I'm from the New Brunswick area for a Jersey watcher, but in any event, but yeah. But let's get back in this about the TV. So again, it's always the thing here that, you know, a lot of people are fearful of, you know, television influence and whatnot. But again, if we're saying that there is not just in Greece, if we're saying that there are countries where all kinds of television that is being shown, violent television, profane television, sex on television. And I remember, like, even I think Australia, the first time I learned about something like this was, I know in Australia, like their soap operas, they have nudity, you know, on in the soap operas, and it's just like a normal thing. And just in general, Europe seems to be a lot more open about New Brunswick. I mean, I'm sorry, not. I'm distracted here, but they seem to be pretty open about sexuality than Americans are. Even though, you know, we have all these other outlets, we have pornography, we have all these things. And so I'm just wondering then that, you know, when you look at just humanity, is it true to paint the broad brush about, you know, hey, we can't show this, we can't do that, even though in practical terms, kids are getting access to it anyway? So are we doing any favors in terms of the whole idea of censorship when we are not absolute nude beaches as well? Well, like I said, nudity in general is more embraced than it is here. Yeah.
I was at a beach in Greece. So, and this woman, I walked by her. I'm a young man, very high hormones at that point. The only thing I care about is three things: getting laid, getting laid, and getting laid. That pick one, A, B, or C. You pick one. So she had her bathing suit was wired, literally wrapped around her boob, and you see the whole boob.
Mm-hmm.
And had a little flower covered a nipple. And that's all. I'm like, everybody who walked by, she was saying, you know, so sleeping in the sun because she was getting some color. Like, keep walking. Like, right. I was like, me being a young little horny little fucker, I was like, I wonder what happens if that breaks. That's the only thing I thought the whole time. When I go or anything like that, I was very happy that day seen that. I was just hoping, like, can I get a wire snipper and snap the shit out of that? But that was common. There's some women on one side of the beach is cut off, like it's topless, and all that stuff is regular topless nude. So it's sections in the beach, and we were just right by the border, like the line is. And my friend goes, "Hey, boobies!" And I'm like, "Ooh, let's go over there." Like, and my mom, as I walked over, I got the ear pull. Like,
so let me ask you then: is this a relative? Since you talk about your mom's generation, is this a relatively new thing in Greece? With you know, like your mom's generation, were they much more reserved when it came to nudity or showing your body or what have you, or was the content of the television? So again, I don't know if you recall any shows like Greek shows in the 50s or whatever. Now, let me ask you, did Greek TV, so again, it's a two-part question. One, on the standards of decency, if you will, say from your mother's generation to like the current generation now. And the second thing is in the let's say like the earlier years, 50s, 60s, 70s or whatever, of Greek television, was there a lot of original Greek content, or was a lot of the television like American imports? Like, did you watch like I Love Lucy back then, or whatever the shows that were that were
Guys, I'm sorry. I'm trying to not cough on the mic.
I got you. I got you.
Okay, I love Lucy. I love that show. That's one of my favorite shows. That and Three Stooges from the back in the day. So I grew up watching that with my dad. So I love Lucy. Even I watch it now on Hulu. I think it's hilarious. I think it's the most funniest thing out there. I think it's more funny than most things even back now today comes out. I'm like, I don't think nothing catches Lucy's reaction. All right, I'm not close enough. Anyway, Three Stooges too. I didn't like the movie. I'll be honest. I did not like the movie, the Three Stooges movie. I think it was horrible. Presentation. I think the original Three Stooges was the shit. So you see those once in a while. I can't remember which one was it. The fat guy and the skinny guy, the tall fat guy. You know what are they called?
Vita Vita Veg.
Yeah.
That was an hilarious episode. Also, the one where they're on the assembly line making the chocolates and everything, and they're like stuff and whatnot. That was hilarious.
Oh, here's another one when she glues the beer bags on her face.
Oh yeah. And
you couldn't pull it out. He says it takes 6 years to come off.
Yeah, but I mean, but just to show you, even that show, just to show you how conservative the country was, and you look at that, you look at the Flintstones, they slept in separate beds. They did not want Ricky and Lucy sleeping in the same bed. That's how puritanical television was back in the day. Flintstones, the same thing. Wilma and Fred didn't sleep in the same bed. Now that's a totally, to this day, I don't know what happened, how that show even got on American TV, because that show you can't air today. That's the weirdest show. I'm gonna get back to that one. So Scorched, I want you to bookmark the Benny Hill show, and on top of that, the Paul Hogan show. I want you to bookmark both of those. But it's weird that 50s and 60s television, yes, they didn't sleep in the same bed because they were so worried about censorship. But they're supposed to be a married couple, and in fact, Lucy and Desi Arnaz were married in real life, and they still didn't want them. Yeah,
what's funny about that?
What's that?
In real reality, people from that age group really did not sleep in the same bed. That's normal.
No, I don't believe that.
My grandparents slept in separate.
Wait a minute. Well, all right, that's a totally different topic. I have never in any. Now, I've seen situations where you had, let's say if you were a smoker, right? I've seen situations where a parent may be in a separate room because, just the smell or whatever. They would come together for relations or whatever, and then go back to certain ways. But I don't recall that in mass. And again, here we may need our pain on this one. Okay, to talk about.
I'm talking about what I experienced through my grandparents. My grandfather already passed from what I can remember. I was very young when he passed. But what I remember, and I think I can ask my mom's opinion on this, and I can get her maybe do it like a 5 minutes clip on a cell phone. She probably agree with me. They slept in separate beds back then.
Separate beds as a married couple?
Yeah.
Wow. Guys in the chat, I mean, go back if you remember your parents, your grandparents' time. Was that the norm? I have never heard, at least in America.
I think the only oldest person on here, if he's here, it's our pain.
That's what I'm saying. But you're talking about your mom's generation, so
no, my grandparents. My grandparents.
If you guys remember your grandparents, I don't recall that being a thing. I mean, because the thing is, you didn't have a whole lot. You had a bed. The bed that you slept in wasn't even a regular like a queen or king bed. I mean, if you could afford a full size bed, that was the norm. I mean, you had people sleeping in a twin bed because that's all they could afford back in the day. So I can't imagine that they slept in. Yeah, I mean, well, thank you very much. So I work out. I skincare regimen. That's another show. I'll do it on grooming. We may have to do a retro show on my grooming regimen. I'm not going to cover it tonight, but yes, I appreciate that. And I'm in my 20th year of marriage. Thank you.
Like yours versus mine.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, we'll have a. That'll be our metrosexual show, right?
Yeah, I'm the only one who can talk about
Have a
hair.
show talking
Like,
about.
I'm the only one
Talk,
who
you
has
talk
hair.
about hair, and then we'll do a skincare show. On the Sparta HQ Network as a topic. But I mean, I don't know that even 30s and 40s, I still don't believe it. That you had a grown married couple sleeping in separate beds. Now, look, if you might have been a bedwetter or something like that, I could see it. You know what I mean? That look. I mean, people they wear those dependent undergarments for a reason, right? So again, it's a reality that some people just have that issue. I can see if it's that, or like I said, the more likely separate rooms. Because like if you're a snorer, like a big time snorer, and the other one isn't, you can't get to sleep or whatever. I've seen those situations also where you may sleep in a separate room, but just as a regular thing, you're going to sleep in your own bed. That's the first time I heard about that. But in any event, I'm just saying the television of the day. And in fact, I remember even in earlier discussions about the I Love Lucy show or the Flintstones or the Jetsons, where they talked about how it was censorship because they did not want to show a picture of a man and woman in bed out of fear that it would, again, corrupt the young minds of children and family and society and whatnot. And I'm just saying, just this whole idea of censorship when you have, in your case, Greek television that shows pretty much everything. And is it having a detrimental effect on children or a detrimental effect on society? That, to me, that's an open question because, again, as much as we've tried to sort of remove that, it's like anything else. It's almost like with prohibition. You know what I'm saying? With prohibition, that didn't stop drinking. People found ways to get their fix, just like you're not going to cut off pornography or anything else. People are going to find their fix wherever they're going to find it. So is it even worth it to go through all these things to restrict what people watch? Are you really getting benefit out of it, knowing that the kids are going to get it? Elsewhere. So for me, that's an open question. But I want to talk about again as far as your mother's generation. Like, what do you recall or know? Like the first Greek television show, whether it be a comedy or an action film or a drama or a what from your experience, what do you remember like the first truly Greek production, like a regular weekly television show that most Greek people would go in to watch, or was a lot of the TV like foreign TV? What's that?
I hate soap operas.
Soap operas?
We used to watch two religiously. It was Monday through Friday. One came out at 6 and one came in at 8 p.m. I was forced to watch that with her. Some of it wasn't too bad, actually. I'll be honest with you. It was some of that was some action-packed scenes, like chasing each other, cops and robbers kind of thing. But I haven't ever it was pretty brutal. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was as a kid, you want to watch something else. I want to watch maybe like Voltron, He-Man, Thundercats, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I was forced to watch that at that time. So I try to go out and play with my friends. But during the winter, it's cold. You can't go out and play, unfortunately. And when the old folks are usually the only room you could play in is the living room where the TV is, because we only have one TV, you got no choice but watch that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. The one was Kalimera Zoe. It stands for Good Morning Life. And Lampsey, I can't remember what the definition is at in English, to be honest with you. Light, I believe it stands for. I just was forced to watch that. I hated watching that shit so bad, man. Yeah.
So I mean, I can see soap operas because they're relatively easy to make, right? You don't have a lot of sets. You don't have a lot of on location. There's not a lot of movement. You can kind of confine it to a room, and it's always about drama. Now, the Greek soap opera, is it very similar to any soap opera for that matter. Like I know Catellia, again, good to see you tonight in the building. Shout out to everybody. I just want to just acknowledge the folks who showed up in the chat tonight. So again, I know we have Jersey Watcher, and yeah, you seem like you're all close by, exit 9 on, from the turnpike, salute there. Again, Brackton, the Snake Fiend showed up tonight. Scorch Earth 824, appreciate you. What We Know podcast, always appreciate you coming up. Checkmate baby, again, thanks for the compliment.
Oh, you know what I just realized here? And I got cut you off for a second. I realized our Jersey PA crew is growing pretty big right now.
Hey, Jersey stands up. I'm just waiting for my man Anton to show up tonight. So absolutely.
We might have a special Jersey meet. Maybe at your house, I'm thinking, and you can cook and do everything for us.
Hey,
you have a
big
enough
talk about
room, right?
that. We can talk about that.
No, seriously,
but
maybe a diner or something like that. Get all of us all together.
Jersey, how perfect would that be? A Jersey diner for a meetup. It's perfect. Absolutely.
Yeah, because we got a Jersey Watch. We got you. I'll come down. We got our Payne, right?
Yep.
Who else do we have?
Man, I had lunch with our Payne. So again, then you have Take Heed to the Message is from Jersey. Yeah. Anton's from Jersey. So we also
have Black David not too far. We can bring him.
That's right. He's in New York. Absolutely. Yeah, so yeah, we may need to do a live stream. That would be dope if we could put that together. But I know again Quincy Robinson. Now Quincy Robinson said that his grandparents slept in different rooms. I get the rooms, right? Like I said, if you're a snorer or you just like like having your own space or whatnot, I get that. But to sleep in separate beds within the same room, that's just weird to me. So again, when you were watching like The Honeymooners or I Love Lucy or whatever, when you saw that was just weird to see that two people in bed, in the same room kiss each other tonight and get into their own bed. But if that was a thing, I don't know that much about that. But I know Catellia, she's in the building tonight as well. Again, thank you as always for stopping through. Now again, Catellia, I know she's Latina, and I know Latinas, they have those what they call those novellas, those Latin soap operas. And I'm just wondering, is there a difference? Because, usually here, the soap operas here is always talking about, people trying to get together and, adultery situations, or you got this guy trying to take over power of a company or something like that. What are typically these Greek soap operas? What are they typically typically about in these Greek soap operas? Like, what's the main theme? I know you didn't like them, but what was like the main theme that you typically would see as a common plot device in a Greek soap opera?
Sex, love, cops, money. Okay.
Yeah. Pretty basic. Pretty standard. Now again, as far as the sex part, it's a lot of it doesn't involve like married people, right? It's usually like, again, somebody's trying to get somebody else's woman or something like that.
One episode, her husband was a cop. He ended up being in a wheelchair, so he couldn't work. She had to pay all the bills. The only way she could afford all the bills is become a prostitute.
Right.
So she was sleeping. You don't see any nudity. You just see literally clothesline. That's all you see. Yeah. No moaning, no nothing. Just like literally, you see a candle in the background, and like not love music, but like, oh my god, kind of music. Like, oh my god, she's actually doing it. Like, what the hell? Or like one of those things, like maybe like a drum set, something like that. But nothing crazy. But you wouldn't see any nudity. Like, you might see a little blood, like, oh, he got shot. You hold him in his arm, like, don't die, brother, don't die. I got you. And he croaks like, man, fuck you, get up. Like, so stupid shit like that. And Spanish were very similar.
Very similar. Okay. I thought they had a distinctive flavor to them, but yeah. So I mean, soap operas are pretty common and easy to make. But let me ask you this: what is the first sort of action cop drama that you remember? So I go back a while. So I remember growing up. I remember The Rookies. I remember Adam 12. I remember the Streets of San Francisco, shows like that. I remember SWAT. So those Beretta, so TJ Hooker, that was like in the 80s, but the ones that I most remember earliest. Like I said, The Rookies was probably the first one that I remember because I love the theme song. And then everybody, you remember SWAT just from the theme song. The theme song was dope. So those were like probably my top two. But then, my dad and, my mom, they would watch, like I said, Adam 12 and Emergency and, shows like that. But what do you recall grooming like your first? Yeah, I was too old for too young for Dragnet, but I certainly I remember seeing some reruns of the show. There was also a short-lived show. Now, you got to be an old school, you got to be a Gen Xer to remember this, or a baby boomer. There was a TV show that was very short-lived that I loved as a kid. It was called Chopper One, and it was about these two cops, and they would be in a helicopter. So they would solve crimes from around the around the area and whatnot. But everything functioned in a helicopter. And then from the 80s, probably my favorite 80s cop show ever was Chips. So Ponch and John, that was my jam from back in the day. But what do you remember as far as your first action show that people, now back here, it was like, I think probably action stuff like Westerns and stuff like that. But, what was, from what you recall in Greece, the first major action show, cop drama, something where there's just a lot of action that or explosions or things blowing up and things like that? What do you recall that was a Greek production?
Greek production? Oh, shit, that's a hard one. Because there wasn't a lot back then. Blowing up, explosions, like that. You didn't see that in Greek production, really. It's like, if you saw that, you saw it from, like, they stole it from another clip. They kind of, like, cut it, paste it, there we go. You know what I'm saying? Like, they use a lot of our American movie music, like Pirates of the Caribbean and Star Wars and stuff like that, in the production. They're probably paying some royalty rights, let's be honest here, for to use that stuff. But like, you don't see too much of that in Greece. My most memorable stuff I remember, getting explosives, blowing up, action pack. Okay, let's go with Cops for example. Right? Like, literally, the name is there, Cops. I used to watch Cops as a kid. I used to be.
Well, when you say Cops, you mean the reality show, Bad Boys?
Bingo. Yeah.
What you gonna do when they come?
Exactly. The other one, it was Chips, like you said. Another one, Knight Rider. That's another one I grew up on. Airwolf, another one I grew up on. Now I'm talking about action-packed shows. I'm not talking about anime now. Keep that in mind. So it was a bunch of MacGyver, the OG MacGyver, the real MacGyver, not this wannabe guy who thinks he's MacGyver. I think he probably guys like mix up his his sperm bank or some shit like that. Right.
Now Braxton is asking, does Charlie's Angels count? I'm gonna be contrary. I'm gonna say no. Right. I think Charlie's Angels ruined a lot of stuff because them women could not, if they had any competent criminals, those women wouldn't stand a chance. Right. That show was about guys doing dumb stuff, getting themselves caught, but these women didn't have any game on them. So no. Now Police Woman with Angie Dickinson. Now I would give her some stuff because she knocked a dude out. All right, so I remember Police Woman with Angie Dickinson, and she was fly back in the day, man. So I would definitely do that. Starsky and Hutch, that was definitely a favorite from the 70s, no doubt. I think those guys sort of changed the game because again, a lot of the cop shows up to that point were kind of like the cops were buttoned up, they would be in uniform and whatnot. Like I said, even Chips, they wore their uniforms and stuff. But Starsky and Hutch, they were, kind of, street cops and whatnot, so they had to blend in, so they had a lot more personality.
You better one. MacGyver, I'm sorry, Baywatch was a biggest thing. Fine. If you watch the documentary, Baywatch was in a blockbuster series. Most of these guys couldn't fucking act for their life depended on them. But they had a hit on their hands, let's be honest.
Right.
So if you didn't watch, Baywatch, I don't know where the hell fuck you were. Every guy watched Baywatch.
I missed a lot of Baywatch. I didn't watch a ton of 90s television shows, to be honest. And in fact, even to now, I think probably the bulk of my TV watching, like in terms of tuning in on a weekly period to watch a show, probably ended in the early 90s is probably when it was over. Outside of sports. Now, sports, I would always tune in to watch a sports or a live event or something like that. But as far as yes, Nancy Drew and the Hardy Drew, and the Hardy Boys Mysteries, absolutely. That came on Sunday nights before Ripley's Believe It or Not on ABC. I remember that. I certainly remember that vividly. But I'm kind of going through eras here. So again, you're talking about this going from like the late '60s into the '70s. So again, we talked about Starsky and Hutch. We talked about Beretta. We talked about again Streets of San Francisco, which was a good one. But once you start getting into the '80s, yeah, I think Miami Vice. Certainly a great show. Honestly, I like the movie. Now, I don't know what happened. That was, you talk about movies that deserved a sequel. I thought that movie with those guys was definitely there. I didn't watch a ton of Heat of the Night, but however, I would tell anyone, if you haven't seen In the Heat of the Night, the original with Sidney Poitier, you need to go and watch that movie. That is a great movie.
Okay, here's a good one for you. It was a show and a movie. I want your both opinions. A show and a movie. Now, keep that in mind. A-Team.
Oh, loved it. I mean, that wasn't like a obviously like a cop show. But yes, absolutely. I remember.
I just said show.
No, 100%. 100%.
What you like about the movie?
Oh, the movie, The A-Team.
Yeah,
I thought it was okay. I don't know. I don't know if I liked Liam Neeson as Hannibal. It seemed like he was doing a caricature of Hannibal, but I don't think he necessarily had the charisma. Certainly not the charisma of George Papard from the original show. So so I thought it was kind of like but I liked the guys cast and the other characters, Rampage Jackson as BA and when I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was going to get a sequel though. Like I saw, in fact, I took my family to see it. I didn't think it was going to be a sequel. But yeah, but I thought it was a decent entry, and I absolutely loved the TV show 1982. I remember, and I remember it was right after Super Bowl 17 when Miami beat Washington. Washington beat Miami in the Super Bowl, and they made their series premiere right after the Super Bowl, and I was hooked right after that. I love that van. That van is still to me one of the coolest van/cars in TV history. So again, BA's
van.
The van, yeah, BA Baracus' van, the black van with the red stripe on it, that was dope back in the day. So absolutely.
Okay, here's another one for you. Tell me how you feel about this, and we're gonna move on from that. Where was it? Quantum Leap.
Not a huge fan of the show.
Me
either,
to be honest.
Yeah, I know that. Yes, I know that. I'm saying, just to address Baxter's point. Yes, I know about the series. Like I said, I did not watch the TV show. But I'm just saying, since you brought it up, though, the movie is excellent. So, again, if you're a younger person who may not have got a chance to watch the film, like I said, I think the film is excellent. I didn't get a chance to watch a lot of the TV show in the 80s. I was either watching other things, or I just wasn't as much into it at the time. But the movie, I'm just saying, I highly recommend. But go ahead, Gruen. What were you saying about?
Quantum Leap, I wasn't a huge fan of it. But if it was on TV, I'll sit there and watch it. I'm not gonna oh shit, fuck this kind of thing. It was okay, but I wouldn't be make an extra, have my phone going. Oh, time to go upstairs. Tell me what's Quantum Leap. No, nothing like that.
Yeah, no. Knight Rider, yes, definitely. Knight Rider.
What do you think about Team Knight Rider?
What's that?
Team Knight Rider. What do you think about that one?
No. Anything outside of the original kit in that black 1982 Trans Am, anything after that, I didn't like the Knight Rider 2000. I didn't like any of the reboots or anything that they did after that. Again, it's weird.
A little pushback here. Again, in Greece, Knight Rider was huge, but it wasn't huge enough to bring product in. So we struggled on having products over there in Greece, like toys and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Knight Rider 2000. People want. Sorry, guys. Knight Rider 2000. Good show. A good movie. It was on TV. It was a TV movie kind of thing. We thought, but it was was it a TV movie or was it an actual movie? That's my question. Do you anybody know?
Which movie? Which movie now?
Knight Rider 200.
2000.
Two thou- it wasn't a theater release. It was like back then they used to make all these like Sunday night movie. Like they had these movies like Sunday night movie, would come on and whatnot. So it was one of those when they used to have movies on Saturday night or Sunday night or something like that. So they had like a 2-hour movie about it. But again, didn't love it. I thought, see, the one thing with a lot of those shows, and it's interesting too, because all of those shows, if you look at Knight Rider, if you look at like Battlestar Galactica, if you look at Buck Rock, all those shows were Glenn Larson shows. And it's interesting because the thing about it, the first season or two of the shows were fire. But then it's like they ran out of ideas, ideas. And then by like the third show or whatever, it was like it was over. You know what I'm saying? So it was Murder, She Wrote. I didn't watch as much. Columbo was my dad's generation. My dad loved Columbo. I didn't quite get it. I mean, the guy was kind of disheveled, going around, kind of like, oh yeah, I just remember I gotta ask you a question or something. I just, he would always play these games, but he didn't engage. And you had him, you had McLeod back in the day. You had, Mannix. You had, I think this guy Gannon or something like that. You had a series of shows. You also had the Rockford Files, which I liked. I did watch a lot of Rockford Files back in the day. He might be my favorite of that time. And Magnum PI, of course, I watched a ton of Magnum. Just for the intro to Magnum PI, that kept you worth watching because of the woman that he's holding the woman in the bikini out of the water. So that was a reason enough to watch the Rockford the Files. But I want to get back to some of the questions. I know Scorched Earth, he's been asking some stuff in the chat. So the first thing he asked about, which again, I admit, it's an enigma. Okay, so the Saturday shows, that was, you stayed home on Saturday nights because you had the Love Boat that came on, and then you had Fantasy Island after that. And that was just like it's like you didn't go anywhere. You had to stay home. Love Boat and Fantasy Island, that was like 1-2. You had to be in the place. That was like, just like you might have watched the Saturday morning cartoons back in the day. So Saturday was this. You had your Saturday morning cartoons. So either you did ABC, you had the Bugs Bunny stuff on, you had the CBS stuff on. Back in the day, you had the live action shows like Shazam and ISIS and all that. You had those shows, right? Then in the afternoon, you had Kung Fu Theater or Monster Theater. So you had Monster Theater that came on, and that was, you would show like your Frankenstein movie or your Dracula movie or something like that. And then you would have your Kung Fu Theater from 3 to 5. So you definitely had to have, that. And then later that night, you had Love Boat and you had, like I said, Fantasy Island after that. And then ABC, they would do these specials like the Battle of the Network Stars. Who in the chat remembers Battle of the Network Stars? Where you have all the networks get together on ABC. Howard Cosell would be there narrating the action and all that kind of stuff. They did all these specials and stuff back in the day. So yeah, Saturday, it's amazing. We didn't get out a whole lot, even though Saturday you would think was the day that you go out and play, do all that stuff. It's like, look, I can't play in the morning because I got to have my cartoons. If we play, we're out for 2 hours, but I got to be back in the afternoon because I got to catch Monster Theater and I got to catch Kung Fu Theater. And then I may go out again, but I got to be back at prime time because my prime time shows are on. And so I got to watch those.
It was different for Greece. So, okay, we had Sunday and Saturday or cartoons in the morning, both days. So when I left here from America to Greece, it was only Saturday. When I come back, I was also here, same thing, Saturday and Sunday. I'm like, okay, that threw me off a little bit. But anyway, so that was the best part. You go to church and we come back, the cartoons are already on. You just, you get your eggs, your cereal, whatever you're going to eat after church. So the best part, and here's the best part. On Friday and Saturday nights, it depends on the channel. Sometimes it was 6 o'clock, sometimes it was 7, sometimes 8, even 10 o'clock. It was a movie night. So the local TV channels will put movies on always.
Right.
So it depends what show it is. And this is where me and my grandma used to fight over the controller because I wanted to watch the movie. So we kind of found like balance in that. Like I will always watch. I knew I couldn't win the battle. I would get the Badolfo over the head to Stando. So yeah, Friday was off limits for me.
Mhm.
So Saturday nights, it was my time. So let me, except with during news, it was like when having one TV with two different generations of people in there, it's hard. You do not want to fight over that controller.
Mhm.
So it depends. Sometimes it was non-rated, by the way, unrated. So you'll watch like Demolition Man, the big sex scene they had in it. You see it uncut. It's just only thing you see. Stop commercials. Come back. And commercials are long in Greece. They're not like few minutes like here. They can be up to like 30 minutes sometimes. So you have enough time to go run to the bathroom, do whatever you need to do, bring your drinks, get more popcorn, and sit down, and it's not back on. So commercials are not as much, but when they do, they're longer. So moving on to the same. And the biggest way of who you can find out is every channel after the news, they will tell you, okay, tonight is going to be X, Y, and Z on. And tomorrow, it'll tell you the 24 hours the whole schedule.
Yeah.
That's one way I find out when movies come out.
Right.
Second way is TV Guide. So let me talk about TV Guides for a second. And TV Guides are small here. They're like little books like this small.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh yeah, we had a subscription to it. So again, this is back in the day. You didn't have the TV Guide on your TV, like you just kind of scroll through and pick your channel. But for you younger folks, there was an actual book that you would get every week that would have a guide to your programming or whatnot. You would find ahead of time when the shows would come on, when the movies would come on. They have articles in there. So yes, there was something called TV Guide back in the day. I'm sure the Gen Xers definitely know. I don't know about the millennials and younger. I don't know if they would know about that. But yes, there was TV Guide was your guide to weekly programming, movies and specials and everything else that used to come out for that given week.
Okay, so with the TV guides, so they had pictures, what movie it was and all that stuff. They would you get one every Sunday or Monday, but it won't come in the house. You had to go to the newsstand and go get it. It was like in American Mind, like $1.50, something like that. It was very cheap. So my grandma used to get it. I remember when I came back to the States and I wanted one. My mom was like, "Why do you want that?" Like it scrolls down in the list. Not that like we have it now. You have to go to channel, I think 13 or 14 or something like that, and it would scroll down all the way and it starts all over again and over again. You remember those old channels, right, Paul?
Yes, I do. I do.
So I had a bad habit with my TV guys. Like I used to rip out the pictures and just collect the cool pictures and just put them in a book, like a scrapbook. If I see my girl like motherfucker, I'm like, shit, not again. And go high. Then we're coming to agreement, like after the week is over, when we're done with it, I can take whatever I want out of it. You can throw the rest away. So usually if it's like burn paper or some shit like that. Yeah. But that's how we did it back in Greece. And I'm talking about like the TV Guide books, the size of this. This is how big it was. This is how big the suckers were.
Right.
And when I got mine here, they were like teeny weeny things, like.
Oh yeah, they were very small. They were a pocket you can carry in your pocket. No doubt. All right, I got something. I have a so Scorch. Scorch is just dropping dimes in the chat here. So I got to give him a bar here. So this for the first time ever, I'm gonna give Scorch Dirt the bar. All right, okay, Marshall, Will, and Holly on a routine exhibition met the greatest earthquake ever known. High on the rapids, it struck their tiny raft, and plunged them down 1,000 feet below to the land of the lost. There you go. So yes, I just want those bars. Like I said, back in the day, we used to sing those songs. We used to sing, like, we knew the theme songs to all these shows that used to come on. We'd be like on the bus rides to school and all that, and we just go out and we would just go through those. So yes, Land of the Lost, the original one, absolutely. Certainly one of the best. Saturday mornings, that was again on NBC. That was your live action broadcast. Absolutely, terrific. But your earlier question also about again the lineup on Saturday nights before Love Boat and Fantasy Island. Again, Welcome Back, Carter. I enjoyed that show. That was the time you saw John Travolta before he was like in Saturday Night Fever and all that, before he became really famous. So Welcome Back Carter was pretty popular. What's Happening, I think, will come on Saturday nights, but they kept flipping that they would flip that lineup like all the time. But the shows that were like staples that you did not touch, that you made sure you were in place on, was 9 o'clock was Love Boat and 10 o'clock was Fantasy Island. You could do anything else you want. You go out to dinner, hang out, play games or whatever, but you were home at 9 o'clock for the Love Boat and Fantasy Island. Anything else, it didn't really matter, because Battlestar Galactica actually it played mostly on Sunday night prime time was more so Battlestar Galactica than Saturday, even though they would flip it every once in a while. But really, it was Sundays when you had that on. And yes, Dallas and Dynasty. Yeah, go for it.
So explain to me why American shows. Let me rephrase that. American shows, definitely on MTV, had an obsession with dating shows. Next. You're the One.
Oh, the dating game. Oh yeah. Dun 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 dun. Oh yeah, absolutely.
No, I did watch them. I thought they were like hilarious. Actually, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you had different ones, right? So in like when I grew up in the 70s, you had the dating game, and then conversely to that, you also had the Newlywed Game, which I would watch. That was like daytime television before the soap operas and everything came on. So again, in the summertime when you were home, it'd be like, the dating game would be like at 11, and then the Newlywed Game would come on then, and so you would watch those shows, and then you would watch then they had the game shows, so like the Price is Right would be on, or you would watch Family Feud or something like that, and then you would get into. But as far as the dating shows, yeah, I mean, What's Life is about hooking up. Yeah, so why not?
Two shows I thought was hilarious was Room Raiders. This person goes in your fucking room, goes through your stuff. All your pictures will be gone, and night lights your bedroom. Oh, what you've done here, or this? And I'm like, bitch, I'm getting fucking laid. What do you think I'm doing in my bedroom?
That's a little deeper. I don't think I saw that one though.
Oh yeah,
I think certainly. Well, I think certainly the dating apps, the dating shows today, like a lot of the stuff that's supposed to be quote unquote reality TV, it's just kind of ratchet to me. It's like you got all these people. My daughters, they watch like Love Island. So it's like you basically get all these young people on this island somehow, and it's like everybody's hooking up with everybody, and it's just messy to me. But yeah, it's.
And another one I thought was hilarious is, Are You the One? I'm dating maybe or someday my girlfriend's mom for a day. I never understood that. Like, what am I supposed to kiss?
That's weird to me.
Yeah,
that's weird. That's just people. That's just people reaching for straws. Then that's. But Catellia mentioned Dance Fever. Yes, Denny Terrio back. Absolutely, Denny Terrio and Dance Fever. Yes, absolutely. It was like before you had like America's Got Talent and whatnot. They had shows like that. So again, you had in the 70s, you had Dance Fever. So you had these couples that would get out there and they would compete for, it would be like a weekly winner, and then they would kind of have a competition at the end. There'd be this grand prize and whatnot. But it was like back then when disco was really hot at the time, and like I think it was pretty much inspired. In fact, I think Denny Terrio, I think he was the choreographer, if I'm not mistaken, for Saturday Night Fever with the actor John Travolta. So yeah, I mean, so it came out of that craze where you had that. Now, when you got to the 80s, you had Star Search. Star Search, again, I think that came on Sunday nights. And that was, again, an American talent show. So they had a dance competition. They had a singing competition. They had a modeling competition. And again, it was like, you sort of advance, bless you. You go through the ranks, and you would, hopefully wind up at the end of the, winning the grand prize, and you get like a contract, a modeling contract or a recording contract or something like that. And then they also had a comedy, because I remember Star Search specifically because Sinbad, who is arguably one of my favorite comedians of all time, he won the grand Fry's like on Star Search, and that's how. But I remember when he was coming up on that show, and he was hilarious for the 2 minutes that he did his routine or whatever. So I remember. Watching that one a lot too. That was pretty.
The only one I can see you maybe flirting with the idea of doing it is called parent control. Pretty much, your daughters, in your case, are dating a guy you don't approve for. So you send them up with 2 different dates. One you pick, and one your wife picks, and they go on a date. And then she picks from all 3. Your pick, your wife picks, or her OG. Mm-hmm. So, and she picks, and she dumps 2, and she picks 1. She might dump her old boyfriend that you both don't like, and you go with somebody else. Or like that. That's the one I can see you actually doing, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. Maybe. I mean, I to a large extent, I don't get so heavily involved in their dating stuff. I mean, I'll give my input, but I kind of let them either watch or fall. But we'll see. Could tell you. Talk about the Odd Couple. To this day, is my favorite television comedy of all time. So again, it was Odd Couple that came on in the East at 11 o'clock, okay, on Channel 11 WPIX. Then you had The Honeymooners at 11:30, but the most important show of the week was Star Trek at midnight. So you had Odd Couple at 11, Honeymooners 11:30, Star Trek. For years, even through my college years, that was like staple. Everybody would be in the room. Whoever in the dorm had a television, everybody was in the room at midnight watching Star Trek. Right, so that was like mandatory. You didn't watch anything. Honeymooners and Odd Couple. That was sort of hit and miss. But everybody was in the room watching Star Trek. So that was my nightly viewership. So again, if you didn't have your prime time stuff that was on, you went into your after your prime time stuff, you might have took a break or whatever, but then you came back at 11, and then that was the hard part was trying to get your mom to let you stay up that late, especially when I was still in grammar school, to stay up that late to watch Star Trek or whatnot. So that was the challenge of getting her permission. But in the summertime, it wasn't a problem. But definitely, school nights or whatever, typically it was hard to get permission to stay up past midnight to watch, knowing you had to get up at 6 a.m. for school. So that wasn't going to happen too often.
That you think it couldn't happen, but if you bribe them somehow a little bit, like, Mom, I got an A today. I'm like, well, okay, this once. Then you have to find a new bribe every week. So there's always a way. Mm-hmm. You have to find the right way.
I hear you.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about, I guess, the modern scene, because like I said, to be honest, there's very few shows, period, that I don't tune in on. I seldom binge watch. So again, all this TV watching that we're talking about, 70s definitely, 80s definitely. By the 90s, once I became an adult and started going out and doing my thing, less so. Like I said, sporting events, I didn't watch a lot of the Alvaro show up. Nick was Up All Night, I think it was. But I don't remember watching a ton of that. I mean, obviously Elvira at the time, she was they used to call her a vixen back in the day. So clearly with the hair and the boobs and all the stuff or whatever, I'm sure she got an audience. I didn't watch a ton of MTV. Certainly not in the late 80s and into the 90s. I didn't watch a lot of it, so I probably missed a lot of that stuff. But my active television watching has dropped off drastically. I think today I'm much more of a YouTube guy. And if I watch on YouTube, it's like I may watch like an old show or program from something back in the day, but a lot of the modern product. So again, I'm curious, for those in the chat, I'm talking about today, 2024. Is there a show on network television? So I'm still talking about the big ones, Channel 2, CBS, NBC, ABC, Fox. Is there still a show that you actively participate in? I probably, the only shows I remember in recent years that I would kind of tune in weekly for was probably 24. That came on. Did you ever watch that show? Grooming.
What was it again?
24.
Never heard.
It was
Oh,
like
yes, yes,
an
yes, I
action.
remember hearing it, but I never
Yeah.
watched it.
24 might have been one of the ones that I would like tune in on on a regular basis. Like I gotta watch it. But that you're talking about, like I said, the 90s. But after that, there's no prime time show except for like Monday Night Football, right? That might be like the only
And he has
prime
some
time that I.
wrestling, too.
What's that?
Some wrestling too, if you think about it.
Well, see, even that, it's like I fall in and out with wrestling. My daughter is much more connected. My youngest one, she's much more connected to wrestling. In fact, she just saw, I guess it was like Blood. What was on last night?
Blood,
Bloodline or something.
War? Hang on, give me a second. I'll tell you right now. Because I can remember. Blood something. I can't remember. I'm old like you.
Yeah.
Don't you start?
But, I mean, but she'll bring me in and out. So with wrestling, I go into
Bad
it.
Blood.
That's a good one. Yes, I'll give you that one. Abbott Elementary. Now, again, I don't watch it on a regular, but I make sure that I watch it, like a rerun or something. Blackish or Grownish. My kids, again, they kind of got me into that a little bit. I would, my family would watch it, but I just I'm busy with something else to doing. But to sit down and watch an on-air network television program, it's tougher for me today. It's just I'm not as connected, or just other things have especially when you have access to Netflix and all these platforms where you simply, if you want to see something, you just kind of go and watch it. But to tune in and say, okay, we're gonna sit in the room as a family and everybody watch Abbott Elementary or something, it's rare. It's not often when that happens, or I may catch it, like I said, on a rerun. And I know people, you might have watched like The Office back in the day, or some other, or The Wire, or some of these other shows on TV. But I didn't even watch. Here's one that may get you. Did you ever watch The Sopranos?
A part of it. I didn't see the whole thing.
I didn't see. I think I've watched more of The Sopranos after the show was on. But I remember when it was on, when it was live, it was like people couldn't wait until the next morning. And that would be like the conversation in the office the next day. What happened on The Sopranos last night? Did you see it? All that kind of stuff. Or even back then, you even had early shows like Seinfeld. Like everybody couldn't wait till Seinfeld was on, and then people were coming in the office and talk about Seinfeld. I rarely watch Seinfeld.
So, okay. So when Sopranos were out, I didn't have, what was it? HBO Max, was it, right? Or Stars?
It was 8. Well, you had HBO and you had Stars. I don't know if Stars still exists today, but
it does on a streaming platform. But I can't remember which one was Sopranos was one on. But whatever extra channel, I didn't want to pay for that extra stuff back then, so I didn't watch for that reason. Like Spartacus, that's one of the shows I actually like watching. I didn't pay for it because I refuse to pay extra for that show because I paid so much money for cable rate. My bills were like $185. I'm like, why the fuck am I paying all this extra money for just one channel? I refuse to do it. I wait when it was a free trial, then I would just catch up on all the shows and call it a day. But The Sopranos, I never watched it during live. I watch now when if nothing, I have nothing to stream. Yeah, and I agree with one of the comments we saw. She doesn't watch modern TV. Some of the modern TV I don't watch myself. I agree with her. But
I just don't find anything, like I said, compelling. Probably the last series that I probably was like into was probably Game of Thrones, where it was like, okay, like every week, like guys in the office, we would text each other and say, okay, Game of Thrones about to come on. Sometimes they'd be like a live, we would be interacting with each other when Game of Thrones was on or something like that. But outside of that, it's like I said, it's just rare. It's not that I don't enjoy entertainment or consumption of product. It's just that I think, a lot of television is just not as, it just doesn't fulfill I guess maybe as it was in my earlier days. You're out here, you're working, you're building a career, you're doing certain things or whatever, and everybody's in a different direction. So again, I guess it's not as valuable. But again, to go and reminisce about the shows that you grew up watching that were again part of your formative years and you took a lot of pleasure of. I love to reminisce about the about the old stuff. Eric was not a fan of The Sopranos. He didn't, but Eric was never like a big into the mafia movies. Like I don't know if Eric was like into The Godfather or the any of those. Are you sort of like a mob guy?
A little bit. I am
Are
actually.
you
I
like
don't
it?
like a lot of them, but I do watch some of them. You know what I'm saying?
But I'm sorry. I like what like top mob movies. Like what would you say out of the mob movies that you've watched? What like are your highlights? Like, are you into like the Sicilian or what was the oh geez. Now I'm having a brain freeze now on some of these mob movies, but there've been
Like the
several.
Godfather kind of thing.
Yeah, just all mafia or mob based movies. Or are you Casino? I know that was a good one. Just a lot of the ones with Joe Pesci, that have been out. But I'm kind of a fan of just the mob culture or the just watching the movies. So
I got
but
into
again,
the mob
yeah.
stuff later on in life, like towards in my 30s.
hmm
So I started eating into the Irishman, the Departed, and stuff like that. I got
Yeah,
it.
yeah, good, yeah, great movies. Yeah, definitely.
So, they were great. Fun fact on the Irishman, the nursing home he was they were playing at, I
Mhm.
actually worked there at one point.
Oh,
So
get
it's a
out.
fun fact. It was after I left there,
Oh,
and
wow.
they were in the background like, look, that looks familiar, and it's on same memories. I'm like, oh fuck, I worked there. Yeah,
Yeah.
It looks like it's like the last Smolden person doesn't say.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the mafia movies, they're good movies, but again, it's something that you enjoy or not. That's your question.
Yeah.
Some people don't. I know my cousin, for example, who lives in West Orange, New Jersey. He loved Sopranos and Jersey Shore. I still don't understand why the Jersey Shore he likes so much. Like
Jersey Shore was like a cultural phenomenon. I admit I probably watched the first two, maybe
Seasons?
first 3 or 4 seasons of the Jersey Shore. I don't know. I think I was trying to relate to my kids a bit more. And try to like what's the appeal of the show or whatever. That
Paul,
was.
be honest. Just be honest with me. Did you personally do the Jersey Turnpike?
What do you mean do the Jersey Turnpike?
You don't know what that means, right?
No, I do not.
You
And I live in Jersey, so you gotta have to educate
did
me on that.
you you put your hands on your little thighs and twerk for you girls?
What? I don't think so. Nah, I doubt
You
it.
walked right into that one, dude.
I have no idea. My goodness. But in any event,
Yes,
though,
it's a
but
dance. If you guys don't know what it is,
is that yeah? Catalia's asking, is that a dance? Yeah, I think it is.
yeah.
I think it is. But yeah. I'm asking the same thing, Catalia. I'm a little I'm a little
Look
confused
it
on
up,
that one
the
myself.
Jersey Turnpike, and then email me later.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Braxton Scarface is definitely more like a drug movie, but it doesn't deal necessarily with the mob. Because, with the mob, like I said, it's a culture, it's a family thing. They have a way of certainly doing things. But, Scarface, certainly still one of the greatest, if you want to talk about like mobster gangster movies, it's certainly one of the best of all time, no question. And so certainly it would, certainly it's right up there with that. But just mafia movies in general, whole thing about being made and taking this person out and that person out and whatnot. I've sort of fancied those movies over the years. But yeah, I think just going back a little bit, I think Snake Feet, he had mentioned a few shows that he watched. Now again, my wife, now she watches her share of shows that come on. But like I said, me, I just find I just spend my time doing anything else. If I'm not working, especially like I said, that release almost really took me out last month. So it was like I would get home, I'd be working till like 1, 2 in the morning. So very rarely would I get a chance to watch anything. Or I'd watch, but me, I'm like, on any given night, like I like watching and again, this is something I don't do as much anymore. But I loved growing up the nature shows, So again, if you remember, like Mutual Omaha's Wild Kingdom, or the American Wilderness, or Nova, or any of those shows that dealt with nature or science or whatever. I used to love watching those. That was like, those shows that used to come on PBS that dealt with stuff. But I know, like I said, Sunday nights they would have the Wild Kingdom stuff or whatever. Any shows that dealt with Discovery Channel, absolutely, Wild Discovery. Any
Discovery
of
used to
those
be one
shows.
of my favorite channels, to be honest with you, bro.
Yeah. It's been a minute. I mean, every once in a while, I'll watch like a YouTube video that, like, what I got into recently. I would watch like who would win between like a lion versus a tiger or something. Like, what animal will win, or if it was like a lion versus a crocodile or something, like, some of those. Yeah, just one guy has a channel. I think it's called Wild Sciences. I think it's the channel. And I like watching a lot of those kind of things. History Channel, Lost. I mean, absolutely.
Another one of my favorite ones.
Especially for those eras that we've talked about. So again, my favorite eras to watch when you talk about history. I love World War II. I love Vietnam, and I love the Cold War. So any documentary that dealt with those topics, I was always into. So yes, I watched a lot of educational, if you will, type of TV. Yeah, gorilla versus alligator. It depends. How big is the alligator? I would say that if the alligator is more than 10 feet, I may choose the alligator. If he's like under 10 feet, I may pick the gorilla to win. But yeah, Science Channel. Yeah, anything that But I go through periods. Like a lot of times, if I'm in a a learning sort of mode or inquisitive about how things, because I like learning about how things work or how do we get here. Any one of those things I can get into. Absolutely, yes, the undersea world of Jacques Cousteau. Yes, that was also back in the day. That's a great one, Eric. Thanks for bringing that to to memory. Military Channel I would get into only for the tech. So I like the shows that talked about like the stealth bomber or the Cobra choppers or something like that talked about what went into the design and the manufacturing of the
I like those too,
thing or whatever. Yeah.
Or like Human versus Weapon. I remember that one.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember that as well. I definitely remember that as well. Or they would. I think they had this one show they talked about. They would actually match people up. So like an ancient samurai warrior versus like an Arabian assassin or something like that. And they would like size them up, like the weapons they would use and their fighting tactics and things like that. And they would try to come to like a conclusion in terms of who would win between those two. So yeah. So
And they broke the science, how the roundhouse kick worked and all that stuff. That's why I liked about those shows too.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I spent a lot more time there. But now we're in the age of a lot of reality television, which really isn't reality. You know what I mean? I mean, from the Real Housewives. And the thing that gets me about that show, or any of those reality shows, is half the women on the show aren't even married. So I don't know. Is it me? I always thought to be a housewife, I thought the prerequisite was that you had to be a wife. Yes, absolutely. I never quite got that. It's almost like if you get a divorce because some of those ladies, they got divorced in the middle of the show. I'm thinking you should automatically be disqualified from the show. It's like, sorry, we can't continue with you because you're not married anymore. And I thought that would be
the one I always had issues with, it was mob wives. No real mob wife will go on a TV at reality and say, hey,
no,
I am so-and-so's daughter, or so-and-so's this, so-and-so. And then all of a sudden they're fucking pulling each other's hair, fighting. I'm like, that is so fucking fake.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch. I'm not getting wrong.
I didn't even enjoy those. Because again, I thought they did a serious sort of like, mischaracterization of Italian Americans for sure. I think if you were like, the real baby mamas of Orange County. Yeah, it's like, a lot of these women aren't even married. But that's what they're kind of feeding you. So there's for ratchetness, Love and Hip Hop and all of these shows that just really gin up drama. And just me as an African American, as an ADOS, I don't like to see our people represent. Now, some people may argue how much of that is real or not. Like, some people argue that, look, maybe we are that dysfunctional, but I don't believe that. And I think that certainly as the Real Ratchets of New Jersey, I don't believe that. And I think that, the image that it does for black women, I think what it does to so in that instance, so again, I started out earlier in the show talking about.
And before we move on, I want to mention one show that we haven't talked about. And I have a big problem with this show. I'll explain to you in a minute why. 16 and Pregnant. I'll tell you why. Because when I was young when that show came out. I was starting high school. I was a little older than 16. But I was in my early 20s. I felt it promoted women or young ladies in high school to get pregnant on purpose to try to get on the show.
Thank you. That I heard of the show, but obviously I didn't spend a lot of time watching it. But I don't know. I don't know if it was encouraging young women to get pregnant at 16 or whatever, or it was just showing the realities of women who gone through that. I don't know. Another show that's very popular that I don't understand why it's popular is that show the show that has like the obese people on it. Like, I mean, the 600-pound
people. My 600 Fat Life or some shit like that.
Something, yeah. But I know a lot of people I know they love that show. And to me, it's a heartbreaking show to watch. Because you got people, this goes beyond just people who are lazy or whatever. I mean, these people where they can't get out of bed. And
I see how bad they are.
Yeah, I know people who love watching that show. My 600-Pound Life or whatever the program. I don't get it. Why that show is so popular with people. And the reasons that they watch it, because I mean, again, it's like I get, some of these people you might have been like a former athlete, like a former offensive lineman. You're playing weight was 330 pounds, and you can't play anymore, and you're blown up to 500 pounds or whatever. Like that, I kind of get, but I don't get the appeal. I just don't. But I know so many people that I know love that show.
So another one before we move on, really fast. She was saying over here, where is it? If you can highlight Katina's that's Dr. Drew's show. So yes, I agree with that's her Dr. Drew's show, 16 and Pregnant, but I didn't like how kids didn't take it as a lesson. That's what it came out originally be. Listen, this girl got pregnant. Don't get pregnant, and then from 16 and Pregnant, they go on to Teen Mom. And I understand why he came out with the show. Not disagreeing with that, but kids didn't look at it like, oh, I used to hear it all the time. I'm gonna get myself pregnant so I can get on the show. I'm like, seriously? Yeah, that doesn't work. It's not that easy. So that's why I was what they were trying to do, I agree with, but the message got lost in the process. That's what it is. Yeah. The other one I was gonna mention, show, like, and it actually has happened, believe it or not, 90 Day Fiance. Oh boy. That's a big one for me.
Now what is that about? Like,
pretty much you meet is like the past bros now, they will call it. Meaning you meet overseas. You in 90 days you bring them over, get married, boom boom, and get your 4K visa, I believe it's called. I'm not can't remember what it is. And sometimes that's legit. Like this, or like out of 100 people, probably 1% really mean, well, yes, I really love this person, or I want to marry him, see what's gonna happen. Or X, Y, and Z. But there's the other percent. I'm like, oh, Paul, you're single, right? Like, yeah, why? Like, you want 10K? Doing what? Just marry me. Bring me to a state, and I'll give you 5K now and 5K.
You don't have to do a show to do that. I mean, that's been going on for and I don't understand the passport bros things, because I know guys. I remember even like in the 80s and 90s, you would have guys who would go and they would get like an Asian wife or whatever, or some bride or whatever, and bring her over, and you knew like the woman barely spoke English, and you knew the guy was with us. Like, yeah, you were mail. Back then they called it mail order, right? So you would get one of those, and all she did was just she was just here. So but as far as guys going overseas, like as if you're thinking you're gonna get that You think you're gonna get that that great woman or whatever from going over there. I'm certainly skeptical of that as well. I mean, ultimately, you got to put the work in to establish a relationship, and hopefully things will work. But the mail order option is still. In fact, I just this past week I saw a guy with his woman, and it's like, yeah, man, he ordered that. So none of the shows that are on TV today.
I never understood how that works.
What's that? No, it was like it was like, look, I mean, it was just like a form of prostitution. I mean, you had these agencies, you had people, they would put ads, they'd be in the newspapers or whatnot. You would contact them. They said, yeah, I got a girl. They would send you, like I said, this is even before the internet got big. So again, they had photos and pictures and whatnot of these girls or whatnot. So, at anything, you get the pictures, you may talk to one of them or try to talk to them if they knew any English or whatever. And they would just bring them over, and that was just your, wife. So again, like I said, just like the mail order catalogs back in the day, used to have those services. Now, again, what the success rate of those are or whatever, I don't know. You don't know if this woman may already be married already, have a man back, and she's just waiting to get her green card or her citizenship card, and then leave you and then bring her husband over or something. I don't know how a lot of that stuff worked.
So in other words, you're not getting any kids out of this process.
No, a lot of these guys, this was not to establish legacy. They just wanted sex, and they just wanted just a woman. These hoes ain't loyal. You got
like an escort.
They just wanted
hallelujah,
sex,
brother. Hallelujah.
And they just wanted the woman, and obviously their dating skills or game with women wasn't really there, but look, it worked for them. I guess if it's a mutual agreement. But to Catalia's point, yes, definitely the shows of today are certainly different. But certainly in the streaming spaces, which again I just don't have a lot of time for. I know there's some good quality programming, like I said, in Netflix, in a lot of this, in the Apple TV spaces. A lot of the streaming platforms is the place where a lot of content is going. You don't know what who knows, in another 10 years, we may not have network TV anymore. Because even, like I said, the football games and the sports, a lot more of the sports programming is going towards streaming services. So the big ones to see, yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Paul. I think sports, let's say football at least, because that's the one of the sports I do follow. I don't follow a lot of sports because I don't have time. Mm-hmm. Football, this year you saw more, they're on Prime, Paranormal, Fox, all that stuff. So if even their own streaming service, NFL Plus, it hasn't gone global like Netflix and all that. So you have to stream through your phone. That's the only catch with that one. So I give it another year or two to work the bugs out and get a good programmer write it out. I think eventually you'll be paying like $20-$30 a month just to watch the games online. You can't charge anything more than that because a lot of people won't pay that.
So it's different. Again, it changes the experience because I think just like they say, like we're a microwave generation, so everybody wants their content like when they want it. People are not willing to wait like a week to say, hey, what happened next week, or the cliffhanger saying, hey, tune in next week for the next episode. And a lot of times people can't use those triggers anymore to kind of keep you engaged. So they so again, it's like, look, I want to watch a show. And I'll pick this to watch, whatever. The thing that used to frustrate me, at least early on, about all of these services is that oftentimes what I want to watch is not on any of them. Because everybody like refreshes their catalog, right? So again, a show or a movie might be on, within a space for a period of time, but then it's not on there anymore. And then they may bring it back like 4 months later or something like that. So there have been so many occasions when there's just a movie, like a classic movie that was in my heart to watch, and I can't find it on Prime, I can't find it on Netflix, I can't find it on Hulu or Disney or Apple or whatever. And it's just like I gotta wait until it comes back into the space again, so I can watch it. So even then, even with all of these streaming platforms, it still may not necessarily satisfy it, your immediate need when you want it. And some of these channels have like 10,000 movies. But the one movie I want to watch, you don't have. So
Even
that's
to
like,
this day, like I have almost every streaming service you can get. I'm like, I got Prime for free because I got it through my credit card. I got Netflix and Max took Verizon for like $3 a month. That's nothing. The only one I pay for is Hulu and Disney. Okay, so I got pretty much everything. Anything and Paranormal, I pay the yearly once a year, $100 and call it a day because of football. I need it. So, and I watch some, Star Trek stuff like that on there too. Okay, so I still don't have what I want to watch half the fucking time. So what the fuck, man? Like gunshots, like going crazy.
Yeah, and with cable it was worse because again, cable had a schedule. Like HBO, they had a schedule. So like I said, they would play a movie on HBO for like maybe 2 weeks, and once that two if you didn't have your VCR again back in the
DVR.
day, again for you younger people, you had your VCR, and you had to put the cassette in the VCR and pop it down, and then you had to program it to say, okay, at 6 p.m. and record for 2 hours in SP mode if you wanted the best quality, LP mode for LP mode for less quality, but you got more tape out of it, or the extended play, you got 8 hours on some of them. We used to have to do that to record what we wanted to watch. And I know I remember my wife back in the day, she would set the VCR daily for All My Children and General Hospital every day. Those programs, when she came in from work, she would just go in, hit play, and watch her soap operas. So yeah, so all this on demand streaming and whatnot. Yeah, we didn't have that back in the day. The VCR was where it's at, and VCR went out. I know you had Betamax and you had Laserdisc and you had all those different technologies, but the VCR ultimately went out until DVDs came on the board.
Now I'm gonna ask you this question really fast. Did you guys have only one VCR or like 2 or 3?
Early on, I had one. Well, mostly it was me who would be even interested in that. Like my dad, he would like watch whatever was on. So it didn't matter. Like him, he wasn't interested in that. When I got married, I think at any given time, I always had at least 2 because we had like a TV downstairs and we had a TV upstairs. So again, there would be programs. Like I said, my wife, she'd be watching her All My Children and stuff like that. And I didn't want to make the mistake of recording something and erasing or overwriting what she had already recorded, especially if she didn't get a chance to watch it yet. So typically, yes, at least 2. I would record if I wanted like to record a movie or a sports show or a program. I would have my VCR, she would have her VCR, and yes, 10-6. So again, this is why, even though this game has been on, could tell you this is why I seldom watch actually a Steelers game live, because I'm going to be pulling my hair out one way or the other, either on whatever hair that I have left. Yes, exactly. That's why I don't have any, because it's like Steelers always make the games low scoring and they're ugly. They'll probably win at the end. When was the last time the Pittsburgh Steelers, ever just blew everybody out, where in the fourth quarter you're resting your starters? Every game has to be this nail biter to the end. So to me, it's not even worth watching the game until the fourth quarter anyway. And the game will be nail biter close, and I'm getting stressed out seeing if they're going to pull it out or not. It happens all the time, and so it is what it is. But it doesn't surprise me at all. Everyone going into this game thinking, oh, this is going to be a high scoring game, and Justin Fields was finally going to go off, and Dak would go off. And again, it's a typical Steelers game. So for us to score 30 points, that's like a luxury. And it's one of the reasons why I want to see Russell Wilson hopefully get a chance to start. But be that as it may, yes, at least a couple VCRs. Eric, me and Eric used to hang out at his house all the time. He had a ton of recordings. He would always record wrestling on WTBS. So again, the NWA wrestling on Saturday nights. We would typically be there and we would watch that, or we would go to Blockbuster and get a movie of some kind and we watch that. So yes, so going to the video store and getting movies and recording things and whatnot. Yes, that was a major part of what we did back in the day. But yeah, I think having more than one VCR, unless you wanted to get into a fight with people in the house because you erased that movie that I wanted to watch. It's like I didn't know. You rewound it to the beginning and thought that you had it, and you didn't. That would cause a lot of fights in the house. So yeah, for your own sanity, you always would have at least a couple VCRs in the house just to make sure everyone had what they wanted.
See, nobody really messed with my VCR because my parents didn't know how to touch it or use it or anything. That was my project. The one thing I will learn the lesson the hard way is don't ever record a football game. I'll tell you why. By the time you watch it, you already know the score, so there's really no point in watching it. So
Right.
you might go to school, and somebody tells you, "Man, I didn't watch the game yet." I'm like, "We need to watch the game yet." Like, I have a VC, I recorded it. Like, why? I'm like, I don't know, because I want to watch the game still.
Yeah.
And like, it was like, but those are the days. I was literally thinking about this today and yesterday. The last couple of days, I've been sick as a dog. Like, I miss the old school days. Like, even though I'm sick now, like sick from being sick when you were a kid was the best thing ever because you could sit home, watch movies, and just relax and just watch movies. That's all you had to do. Watch movies.
Yeah.
And then get better. And the VCR and stuff like that. I used to have a bunch of VHS tapes.
Mm-hmm.
I was smart enough to get rid of them when they were just the DVD was coming in because if I still had them, that would be the problem.
Yeah,
But they
Braxton's asking a question. Braxton's asking a question. It said if you didn't record it, you bootlegged it, right? But then how would you also you would rent the movie from Blockbuster? See, and again, I don't recommend that anybody do this. All right, so I'm just sharing my life with you guys. So yes, I got to the point where I had two VCRs, one to play and the other to record. And what you would do is you would take the VCR cassette. Now, again, every VCR cassette had that little notch on the end that allowed you to record. If you wanted to save something permanently, you would take it off. So then for the movies that you would rent from Blockbuster, you would put a piece of black electrical tape on that edge, and then you would put it in. You would then record onto to another, and then you would just return it back to the Blockbuster. I built up a library that I just recently threw out. I had in my basement hundreds of bootleg cassettes that I recorded. I just said, you know what? I'm never going to watch these again or whatever. Everything's basically available through streaming or whatever. I can get this stuff anytime. And certainly I would go in and just record those. But yeah, I got rid of all that stuff. So yeah, I got rid of the evidence. I'm done.
So I used to do the same thing. Fun fact. But I had a friend. His name is Ken. I lost contact with Ken, but he used to collect movies. I'm not talking about DVD. I'm talking VHS. All right. Mm-hmm. And he was a little older guy. I was a family friend, actually. And I'm not joking to you, bro. When I say he had 955 VHSs.
Oh, yeah. I had in the couple hundred range. Yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah. And are not bootleg, original. Buying it from the store.
Oh, he bought them?
Yes. Every single one.
Wow. Hey, look. Hey, kudos to him. Hey, look, back then we were definitely more renegades, right? They weren't. Yeah, 35. Well, in my day, like if you wanted like a release of a movie that came out, they would charge you like $25-$35 for that movie. That's one of the reasons why. Again, you would go to Blockbuster, rent it, record it, and then give it back.
I remember buying them for like $15 a piece.
But again, well, it might have been cheaper. I'm saying so. But again, you grew up in the 90s and 2000s, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm talking about the 80s. This is before So in your era, DVDs were the thing. So VHS became a lot less valuable at that time.
Okay, so DVDs haven't come in yet, but VHS will start losing a little steam, and DVDs were just coming in. So it was one of these things. I had across.
Yeah, and DVDs ultimately took over. Yeah, they ultimately took over. Yeah, well, because you had earlier things. You had Betamax earlier, and then you had the Laserdisc. So everyone thought the Laserdisc was going to take over, but it was mad expensive. Back then to buy a Laserdisc player was like $600, And then the titles, they didn't have a ton of titles. I think VHS won out basically because, again, you had more titles available for more, in that platform. That's why Betamax couldn't beat them. That's why Laserdisc couldn't beat them, because, again, most of the mainstream, it was mainstream accepted. And remember the early days with the Laserdisc, right? There was another Laserdisc type of technology out, right? With the DVD. What was it called?
Blu-ray.
No, there was two competing DVD technologies at the time, and one of them
HD? DVD HD.
Yes.
That
was another.
I think, am I mistaken? Sony owned one. It wasn't HD. It was the other one. DVD. I think they owned, and I can't remember who owned the other one. Actually, let me look it up right now. Somebody owned a DVD HD, and they lost a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
I think you're right, Braxton. I think it was Sony. Yeah.
Sony did own one of them. Yes.
Yeah, but it was ultimately about, again, the whatever the movie labels or the companies or whatever, they didn't buy in.
Toshiba owned HD.
Yeah.
It was actually called HD DVD, not DVD HD. I said it
correct.
Back.
Yeah.
And then Sony wanted to get the Blu-rays out, and that's where the war started between those two.
Right.
And I'm actually glad I went.
But it wasn't even a war, because I don't think HD DVD really competed that well. I mean, it wasn't like, they were always going to be second place, and again, the mainstream platform ultimately won out, so it didn't last very long. But I never considered that to be a war anyway. So
the reason Blu-ray won over, and people don't realize this, a lot of people are like, okay, I need a new DVD player. I'm not going to pay old technology. So a lot of them bought the Sony PlayStation. Wait a minute, I can be a PS2 or PS3 for cheaper and get 2-3 systems. Like I did a CD player, a DVD player, and a PlayStation for the price of one. But if I have to pay for everything separate, I'm over 1,000.
Yeah,
I'll buy that instead. That's how they actually won the war, really.
Right.
It wasn't even a war, like you said. It was like here, you won. Here's the medal. Like, you came in the medal clothes.
Right. Yeah. But look, let me ask you, as we, we're already over time. We still say we end the show early, but just overtime here. So, from what you know of, and I don't know if my man from Jersey, if he's still on. So, what I guess the modern state of Greek television today. I think your mom, she subscribes to like a Greek streaming service of some kind.
Streams through a service called Last TV. So I'm gonna throw a disclosure out there. Never, if any Greeks are watching this, please don't subscribe to that channel. They are crooks. Just stay away from them. Simple as that. I prefer watch American TV before I watch that. So besides that. So sorry. So the modern TV Greek is all over the place. It's more censored now. You have other things to watch. You have a lot of reality TV.
Now, when you say more censored, what do you mean by that?
Like pornographic stuff is not as much there.
Oh, really? They cut down on it?
Yes. Yeah. No, the world is getting really sensitive now. You imagine.
In fact, I'm glad you brought that up. Let me just go back, because I remember something that Scorch Earth brought up earlier. One phenomena in American television that I do not understand how it came off, but it did. Back in the 80s, you had two shows that would come on American television that certainly would be banned today, but I'm shocked that they were on in the 80s. One was the Benny Hill Show and the Paul Hogan Show. Very raunchy comedy, to say the least. But they were on, and I could never figure out how, in this conservative landscape, when they talk about censorship and everything else, they allowed a lot of cheeky banter, to say the least, to go on in those shows that was allowed to be on American television in the 80s. Again, there's no way you would show that stuff today with the culture that we're in, but for some reason it was allowed to fester. So I just wanted to address that from Scorched Earth earlier. Yeah, I don't understand how those shows will be able to be on, but I saw every one of them. I remember as a kid growing up and watching that stuff. But you're saying, Grooming, that in again, the landscape is changing, where Greek TV is more PC, less nudity, less sexually explicit as before. So given the case, so where are people just going to, so where are they getting their content if they're not getting it from the main airways? Where are they getting their content then?
Oh, they took it from main airways. That's still free. There's no charge. That's still the same way. There's no cable in Greece still. So Netflix is not real a thing in Greece. It's more that's a more American thing, Americana. So watching a streaming service, yeah, you're going to probably find a bootleg website. So let's say movies.com. I'm just making some shit up on my ass. And you can watch something from there if you're going to stream something. Right. Streaming is not really a strong option yet. For another few years. I give it by 2030.
Well, is the internet in general, like as far as Wi-Fi period, in Greece, like where is it now?
Depends.
Not just in the cities, but just is internet kind of, across the country now, or is it still, if you're not in certain places, you don't get internet? I mean, what is the?
Depends where you're at. If you're in the countryside with the little towns and everything, you might not get it at all. You may be lucky to get service on your phone. So, and that's it. They're Greek has a weird sense of humor and some things, and that's the issue they're having for years. Like the jokes to me and you might be hilarious, but the new generation going up is not. Makes sense. I'll give you a good example. So I remember watching this one show. I think it's hilarious, actually. He goes to a first village. This woman comes around and says, Father, I sin. I'm like, that's okay, my daughter. I'm like, what's your sin? I'm like, well, I fucked the priest from the next village. That's okay. Geez. He goes, well, it gets better. That's the beginning. He goes, but Father has more to say. Like, what else? I also fucked the other priest over there. I'm like, okay. Right, she goes, for the third village, so fourth village, so fifth village. And finally, the priest goes like, man, bitch, you could have fucked me too. I'm like, you fucked every other priest around his neighborhood. So to most Greeks, that's hilarious, right? But for like something like you, I can tell you, like, you don't think that's funny, right, Paul?
Well, it's wrong. I mean, it's raunch. I mean, it's it's not like I'm not immune to stuff. I'm not a Puritan. Like I won't see R-rated stuff or raunchy stuff or whatever. It's just that it may not, it may not hit. But from everything I've known from you as far as Greek culture, in general, again, you guys in general tend to be a bit more raunchier or looser with language and context and things like that. That's just part of the mix. So I would definitely say that. But I wanted to address one last thing from Braxton. So he said he thought I was going to say that Married with Children with Al Bundy would be the lethal chemical in these American times. I don't know. I think American TV changed. I think with both two shows, one with Married with Children, and secondly with Roseanne, because I think at that point they started to show, like, again, a lot of the TV sitcoms, I mean, they were kind of like, sort of sanitized versions of how American families lived or whatnot. Like, even I remember growing up, people used to say, oh, but the Cosby Show isn't real. Black people don't live like that. So why even show anything like that on television? But I think with the Married with Children approach or whatever, showing basically back then they used to call it trash TV. And the idea was that, again, this was going to be a corrupting influence on the culture. Again, I don't know if it has been or not. I think more than likely what's been an influence on the culture is, economic issues and just the cost of living. And I think the other things are involved. To what degree that Married with Children and other shows like it, the more raunchier shows, Family Guy and Beavis and Butthead, that was another one, where it seems like a lot of the TV shows and the movies seem to be showing more what people deemed as degenerate behavior. Was it a corrupting influence? I can't say. But the point is, when I was contrasting American TV to, say, European TV or Greek TV, I'm saying they had a lot of that same content, and you didn't necessarily see it as corrupting of the culture. And so, and again, America seems to, in general, have sort of like a bipolar mentality when it comes to being hyper puritanical on one end, but then very loose on the other. And so, I don't know if Married with Children was if anything, just give the fact that it was different from any other sitcom, or same thing with Roseanne, again showing white people in a different light than what was typically shown on TVs what was the Brady Bunch, or Family Ties, or what was the show with Kirk Cameron back in the day? What was that show with Kirk Cameron? Oh geez, I remember the theme song for the show, but I don't remember this. I don't remember the title, the name of the name of the show. But again, just a lot of those sitcoms were kind of, you let Charles in Charge. I mean, a lot of those shows were in, the families were relative. Growing Pains, thank you. But again, that was a typical, or Belvedere, right? Or Benson, or any of those shows where, again, the white families were kind of well off. You didn't see necessarily a quote unquote, I'm not going to use the derogatory terms, but you didn't see a lot of those shows on. So I think the shock, what it was almost like, Grumman? It was almost like the Attitude Era in the WWE or WWF. It's like everybody, wrestling had this idea of what things supposed to be about. You had good guys and bad guys, and then Vince McMahon decided to kind of blur the lines. And he kind of gave you this sort of trash TV, scantily clad women, and all these different, themes and entendres, and, renegades and things like that. So I think Married with Children was kind of part of that. But was it corrupting as an influence? No, I think certainly the country in general, I think just with the economics of the day, made it harder for families to form, or even to get by. But again, I'm not going to turn this into a political conversation.
Really fast before we move on, I think also was different era. That stuff was allowed back then. They were more accepted back then. Oh, ha ha ha, laughing, and nobody took it really serious like they do now. Like, if you talk about any sexual contact on comedy now, it depends how you deliver the message. You might be
everything you can't do. No, sexual content, racial content. Like from my father's generation, and I remember watching also, because like I said, we all watched the same TV growing up. So All in the Family, or the Jeffersons, that dealt with a lot of ethnic stuff. There's no way you would have an Archie Bunker on TV today. There's no way you would have a George Jefferson on TV today. It's just not, there's just certain things that you can't say certain words in this PC space. But again, people love those shows. Even black people who thought Archie Bunker was a bigot, the way they did it back in the day was, he was a bigot, but he was also a buffoon. And so it was okay to show him as a buffoon, and that basically the point of his bigotry led to either a bad outcome for him. So he was always like the laughing stock of the joke, even though he was in his bigotry. So I think in that context, I think it was good to show George Jefferson. He would have his stuff as well, the way how he treated white people. But again, ultimately, a lot of that stuff didn't necessarily serve him very well. So again, those guys were allowed to be that, but also they were also the butt of a lot of the jokes. But even today, I still don't think you can pull that off. So yes, very different time that we live in. And people are also very protective about the images, how they're being shown, which is, again, one of the reasons why I don't understand why a lot of these reality shows are on. Hip hop.
I totally agree. 100%. I agree. 100%
like I said, I mean, the housewife shows, I don't understand. Especially if you're an ethnic minority. So again, you got an Asian housewife show. You have an Arab housewife show. You got obviously the black housewife shows. I mean shows that really misportray, women, American women, or whatever the woman is. I don't understand why those things are popular, but nevertheless, they still, they still exist. So again, it's funny how we don't tolerate Archie Bunker anymore, George Jefferson. Yes, and I do remember when they first met, and obviously the Jeffersons is a spinoff of Archie Bunker. But that being said, also it's interesting. Also, Maude also came from Archie Bunker, and then Good Times was a spinoff off of Maude. So it's just amazing how all these shows have this tree, this family tree, where these shows have spawned off each other. But yes, I know there's a Real Housewives of Dubai, and I'm thinking, how serious is this? Because again, if these are in fact Arab women, you would think they'd be carrying themselves different. I think they're really American women who are in Dubai or come from American backgrounds, and they don't carry a lot of those values. But again, that gets into social political, which is not where I'm looking to go tonight. But it is interesting the dynamic now in terms of what gets the popularity today, and what the things that you can't show back to that you could show back then. But this has been a sort of, again, a fascinating retrospective. So again, we're already over time even on our regular show. I know we started a little bit late today, but again, we can definitely probably revisit this topic in the future. But it definitely seems like from the chat, there's definitely seems to be a lot of, even Sanford and Son. I mean, he was off. I mean, you couldn't do Sanford and Son today with all the things he used to say about people. But, we're definitely in a different age now, and where television goes from here. Again, I think that we could very well see in the next 10 years, again, regular network television may be a thing of the past. And then everything might be streaming to an extent, and people will simply just get what they want. Now, the other thing about this, and we've talked about this on the when we did the cartoon show, that television in a lot of ways was meant as a tool to shape society and cultural norms. But if everybody goes to streaming, then again, you're not going to have that cultural platform, but people are going to be able to find what they want. And so if you want to model after a certain, lifestyle or demographic, you'll find what feeds that. But back in the day when everybody was trying to tell you sort of how things should be, television was sort of that shaping tool. Now everyone's getting everything from news to information from any source that fits their belief system.
So here's my thing with that with me.
Yeah.
Is you could get away with a lot more with streaming. That's facts.
Yeah.
You don't have a guidelines you need to follow.
Mm.
Like with regular TV cable, you have a guidelines. You have to follow X, Y, and Z. You cannot go off that. If you do go off, you have to be a certain time with special permits and special everything. Obviously, governments want everybody's in their hands in everybody's goddamn pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can get away with a lot more. Like, so, okay, we're just talking about we're more sensitive now. Okay, yeah, but are we really? Because again, we get away with that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So, but this has been fun. Hopefully, for those of you in the chat, I know Braxton, I know a lot of people had a lot of content to share as far as programs that you enjoyed. I know Catelli, she took me all the way back to Saturday to Dance Fever. So you took me all the way back when you brought that show up. So, but yeah, I mean, I think there was a lot of, certainly good content, certainly back in the day that we certainly grew up and we enjoyed. Today you have more options, and hopefully you can find certainly the quality that not only entertains, but I hope we also find time, because again, one of the things that I do miss that oftentimes I'll still do, certainly spend some of your time trying to watch things that inform, that educate, that show you things about the natural world. I think that's something that, with all the craziness that goes on, I think we get disconnected from that. Again, watch shows that talk about the planet, that talk about nature, that talk about science, that talk about the environment. and just the beauty of the world that we occupy. With all the crazy stuff going on, everybody kind of gets into their mindset that, hey, it's just about my material needs. But there's a lot of good things in this world that, a lot of people, spend a lot of time and resources and money trying to show us. But we get so caught up in our daily, issues that we kind of lose perspective. I think that's one of the reasons why it's good to travel. So you can see another part of the world and how other people live, and you get a greater perspective for where you're at. And that's why, certainly December, my wife and I were going to do some traveling, and we're looking to do more traveling in the coming years. I think, our sort of world tour, if you will, starts in earnest in 2025. And, we're going to try to spend some time and, do more exploration and get more cultural insight in terms of how this world is. But there's a lot of beauty in this world. As much of controversy and things we fight about, TV, there's still content out there that tries to show us that. And I know for myself, I want to be more conscious about embracing more of that content rather than the stuff that really doesn't have, one, that's not real. I mean, like I said, most of those reality shows aren't real anyway. But, get out there and see some of the good that's in the world, or support content that tries to show you the good in the world. And I think I'm going to leave that just as my closing comment. And so, Sparta, I know, first of all, thank you for stepping up. I know you've had a rough week. I know you haven't been well, and but you pushed on like a trooper. And certainly I always appreciate sharing this platform with you. And as we continue these and to have these conversations, certainly in the future, reminiscing about things and just finding the common cultural ground. So I really appreciate you, being a part of this and stepping up. Despite you could,
what I think next week
any
we should
reason
talk
you
about.
could have stopped this, but you didn't.
I'll be honest. Next week we should talk about being sick. I think it'd be an appropriate conversation to have, because I know the way what you probably grew up on, remedies like tea and honey and all that stuff. It could be
That'd be an interesting home. So cultural remedies. All right. So again, if the chat is up for it, So again, what the home remedies that you might have grew up on, especially if you grew up in a different culture, how'd you? Yeah.
I actually want to see anybody does this. I'm just curious. If you guys really want us to do this, say Yahoo in the text. I just want to see if somebody does it.
So yeah, if that's a show, how home remedies and stuff, that would be interesting based on culture. What is the nastiest medicine you ever had? So, but again, we'll save that for, if not next week's show, we'll save that at a future show. Like I said, we're trying to get some interviews also scheduled for the gray area, and I want to get hopefully we can get those going sooner rather than later. And
I got one coming up in October, I believe, this month, I believe, with Angry Elf. He's a veteran of the Army. He still works as a private contractor, not Blackwater shit. He does a little more like computer stuff now.
Right.
So I know we have our friend from the channel, from both channels, from you and mine. Mandolin said he will be coming on. I just was
Mandrell. Yeah. So we're here, just to kind of give you a heads up, so we spoke to Mandrell. And I know he's very known in these spaces, but not sure. And he said to us personally that he really hasn't had a space where he's had an in-depth interview. He's interviewed people. Certainly he has his own channel, but we're looking to bring him in for an in-depth interview with him, talk about his life, his background, his military service, and his perspective on the world. So this is going to be a very much an in-depth show that we're planning. We're just looking to nail the right the time and environment. But again, if you've been in this space for a while in these streets, everyone knows Mandrell, everyone loves Mandrell, and we definitely want to bring him in. And he'll be the subject of the show. And we're going to go into areas that you may or may not have heard from him before. And so this is certainly going to be an opportunity for us to, again, explore the gray area with someone who we all know and get some perspective from.
One thing I was going to ask you, I think we should start the show a little early that day, because I think they're going to take a lot more time than 2 hours, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about that on Wednesday when we meet up our meeting.
Right. So we'll announce an early morning, an earlier start time. I'm down with that. To give
I I get every other weekend off, so the weekend I'm off will be great. So we have scheduled like that. So I have to. Yeah. I'm gonna reach out to him again tomorrow, probably see his schedule looks like, and we'll go from there. All right.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good.
All right.
Well, again, thank you guys once again for joining us on this edition of the Gray Area. Again, any closing comments before we close, Sparta? You're good.
Can't hear it. I've been trying to work on this a whole night behind back scenes. So,
anyway,
me and Boston are going to work on it after we get off this.
Okay, sounds good. So,
I think what happened was my the mic that had a big upgrade. I mean, literally, they did a whole new yard, and they threw all my settings out of whack. Since I've been having issues. I think that's the problem. It's not your side, it's my side.
Gotcha.
So me and Boston have got a little work to do tonight. All right. And I'm still sick. So,
all right. Well, get well soon. All right, take that nasty cough medicine or that Greek herb, that special Greek herb that has miracle powers to heal all this. Yeah. So take what you need to and be better for the next show. But I'm Mr. Bennett. He is part of the Sparta HQ Network, aka Peter, aka Poliotis. And this has been the Gray Area. You guys have a great week. We'll see you next time. Take care and God bless.
It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like I told you so. It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like I told you so. I hope you're all here for the ride. Come inside, cause it's going down tonight. Only here for one night, no lies. Come and saddle up a ride. Need a yeehaw, you know how here for one night and we just wanna party. In a fast car, a Ferrari. It's a push start, I don't need a car key. It's out on Broadway, and it's gnarly. On a late night, but I'm not tardy. Right on time for the parties and Barbies. Strolling with a chunk of green like a dog sweet. Hey, 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 hey. Bottles on ice, mess around these skates. Hey, hey, hey. If I gotta say it twice, then I got nothing to say. It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like I told you so. It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like I told you so. I hope you're all here for the ride. Come inside, cause it's going down tonight. Only here for one night, no lies. Come and saddle up a ride. Come and kiss me up, it's going down. Like a train with no brakes, I'm not slowing down. See it showing up, we're showing out. But I pack